4 scoreless innings, allowed 5 hits, struck out 7, got pulled, though, after he threw 89 pitches. Hunter Gaddis picked up the win in relief, and Kate Smith got the save. Cavaliers continue their Eastern Conference semifinal playoff series. Now going to be up in Detroit as they take on the Pistons. Series tied at 2 games apiece after the Cavs won on Monday 112-103. Donovan Mitchell scoring 39 of his 43 points in the second half. Cavs going to try to win on the road for the first time in these playoffs. Cleveland right now 0-5 away from Rocket Arena. In the NBA playoffs last night, Western Conference semifinals, San Antonio beat up on Minnesota 126-97 after being ejected in Game 4. Victor Wembanyama was back, and he posted a double-double, 27 points, 17 rebounds. Spurs now lead that series 3-2. Keldon Johnson added 21 points. San Antonio can advance with a victory in Game 6. Friday night at Minnesota. NFL's going to announce its full slate of international games later on this morning. The NFL plans to have 9 games played outside the United States. There have been some rumors the Browns might be playing the Saints in the first NFL game ever to be played in Paris. However, reports say that the Pittsburgh Steelers will be the guys taking on the Saints October 25th. You can now find 92.3 The Fan on YouTube. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. Get the best content from our shows each and every weekday. That's 92.3 The Fan on YouTube. Headline sports news every 20 minutes right here on 92.3 The Fan. From the University Hospital Sports Desk, I'm Jeff Thomas. Up next time for the Ken Carman Show with Anthony Lima here on 92.3 The Fan.
The afternoon drive.
The first half really was a back-and-forth affair. The Cavs have...
You're cursing Karis LeVert left and right?
Yeah, and by the way, Karis LeVert, just not a natural villain. Karis is trying to, Stand over Donovan Mitchell. It's like, Karis, this isn't going to end well for you, buddy.
Yeah, or Paul Reed, another one of those guys that's all right, Paul, all right.
Listen, you're going to make $50 million, and we're happy for you, but just pipe down there, Chachi.
The afternoon drive. Weekdays starting at 2. VR Sports Radio 92.3 The Fan. The Ken Carman Show with Anthony Lima.
Usually, I think it's most fun when you can stand and really grandstand towards one side or the other. I don't have that feeling right now because it was a 2-0 series lead for Detroit. Yes, I feel you should be back in control of this series, but I think if I were to say that, I think it would come off pretty transparent and you could see right through it. I just don't feel that way. I think a lot of people are just, they're relieved we're back 2-2. We're back even in the series. I don't think that they're being naysayers. I just think that they're relieved and going, okay, now the next step is winning in Detroit on Wednesday. And I think that's a perfectly fair assessment, considering that maybe there were some people who were just as surprised as I was.
Hey, I'll save you guys a tweet. Prove it on the road. Yes, of course. They can't win the series unless they win a road game. We all know that. You don't have to tweet me. I've had 25 people tell me, when they do this on the road, I'll get excited. Okay, I'm going to tell you something right now. If you guys weren't pumped up and excited and jubilant about yesterday's performance, where your superstar was on a transcendent level and authored up one of his virtuoso playoff performances, and then Evan Mobley looked dominant defensively like he did, and James Harden was awesome, then I don't know that this sport is for you. It might just not be.
This is Cleveland Sports Radio, 92.3 The Fan.
Tone Master General, good morning.
Hello, Kenny. Hello. Dial in. Lock in. Come on. We got a playoff game tonight. It's a big one. Legacy's at stake. Let's go.
Legacy's at stake.
I just say it after every game, but it's kind of true.
Legacy's at stake. Actually, kind of is.
Like, if Donovan Mitchell did not have that performance in the second half.
Well, you're right.
And let's say the Cavs just lose. First of all, we're all talking about, shouldn't we be trading Donovan Mitchell?
There goes that music. That's the end of that real quick.
But isn't that how that works in the NBA? And then we overreact to every single game?
Because I'm going, yeah, James Harden's 17 years into his career. What's the biggest knock on James Harden? Fades in playoffs.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
What have we talked about with Evan Mobley? Is he ever going to be legacy-defining stuff right now? And you just mentioned Donovan Mitchell. Well, here we are.
And now, I'll tell you, now that I have been reminded, I guess we should always knew that Donovan had that in him because we've seen it. But as you get older, it's like, are we going to see it again? Is this the drop-off? Is this the Dwayne Wade drop-off? And then he reminds you, oh, yeah, I can score 39 points in a half. I can do that in a half of a playoff game. How many guys on the planet can do that in the half of an NBA playoff game? Are there 3? Are there 2?
What Donovan Mitchell did?
What Donovan Mitchell just did? All right, Steph Curry.
You want to power rank
And even
him?
now, can Steph Curry do that today?
First one since I came back from vacation. Thought we might get one yesterday, but there was no reason to.
Maybe Luka, but Luka has been banged up. And
can't just order it up.
The Lakers are
kill it.
The Lakers are not playing in the playoffs right now.
All right,
So,
I think I can power rank it. Here we go. Number 1, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. Good? Is that a good one?
yeah.
Number 2, I want to say Luka.
Yeah.
Okay, all right.
I can't-
We got to go with health and
I would not be
all that
debating
other
you.
crap. Number 3. Who the hell else would be number 3? Tobias. No.
It felt like it. It did feel like it at times.
No offense. Could Jaylen Brown do it?
No.
Okay.
I don't think he could.
Damn it, I got 2 out of 3. I guess I
think
can't power rank
You
it.
mentioned guys that are all better than Donovan Mitchell, but this is the gear Donovan has that these other guys do not have, and why
Bam Adebayo.
Why? Actually, yes, now we do know Bam could do it. But the fact that Donovan pulled that off, and you know for a fact, the city of Detroit, if he comes out tonight and scores like a quick 8 points the way that Harden has, but if it's instead Donovan Mitchell, like he has a chance to hush that crowd in a way where they're going to start going, oh my God, we have nothing to stop that. We have nothing that can match that. Like,
I would certainly hope so.
Like, again, Cade Cunningham is a better player right now because of what he does on both ends. He's 6'6". He can control the game. He can't do that. There's no way Cade Cunningham can do that.
No, he can't. I'm glad you brought up that crowd because it's. I'm in a weird state. I think we're all kind of a weird place with the Cavs. Like I'm win or lose, I'm getting myself ready for just basically clocking in to watch a NBA basketball game tonight, which is not the type of outlook anybody should have, but I think that's the way we're going to be, and I'll explain myself coming up here in about 20 minutes. It doesn't feel like a rivalry the way it used to be. Like they don't feel like a rival. And that's not to put down the Pistons. It's not like the Pistons are pesky. Like I'm surprised. I told you I was surprised it's a 2-2 series. But it's like I have respect for Cade Cunningham. I have respect for JB Bickerstaff for all crying out loud. I got respect for the Pistons. But my focus, and I think a lot of people's focus, is still just Cavs-centric. And why are we doing that? We compare them to the Cavs of yesteryear. And the Cavs of yesteryear, you go back 2 generations ago, because we're talking about you-know-who, we're talking about the Cavs of yesteryear. In the mid to late 2000s, the Pistons were a rival. Like, they were a rival. They were this crowning force in the Eastern Conference that one of the best rides ever was beating them in the postseason in the first LeBron era. Like, that was one of the greatest moments. Honestly, as a Cavs fan, that game outside the arena, not even in the arena, outside the arena, and the way it was, and there was people like in the like these clubs, but like you couldn't see it, and they're like pounding on the windows, and people are going nuts out on the mall. Like it was wild. It's one of the greatest things ever. And that was like you finally slayed Goliath. You finally slayed this dragon. It was this amazing feeling. We have this young star. He's going to be one of the greatest ever, if not the greatest ever. And it's like now everything's a comparison to that. Everything's a comparison to that. I'm putting myself in there. Like in my age group, everything's a comparison to that time in our history. And it's like, man, you're just competing with yourself and your own legacy as an organization. Like I didn't look at the Toronto Raptors as a rival. I don't look at this. I'm waiting for the moment where this Pistons team becomes a rival. And it's like, well, both teams have played tough. Like the Cavs, there's no way you can sit there and say the Cavs were soft over the last 2 games. I mean, hell, they were hard as hell inside just the other day. So I don't think that we're saying that these teams are the quintessential rivals the way we were. And I think that for a lot of people, it's not as much the Pistons. I think that a lot of people respect the Pistons just as a good young basketball team. I think it's this comparison of the Cavs of what the Cavs used to be, even though they could never be that way.
Even Cade. Do you guys hate Cade?
No,
like I don't
think fans hate
Duncan
Cade.
Robinson. I could understand.
Why? Why?
First of all, let's think about where he went to school, where he has kind of been a little more boisterous with his mannerisms and trying to foul bait and kind of trash talking in a fun way. I don't think it's an animosity like they truly want to kill him.
I'm not even trying to be disrespectful when I say it. It's like I could see myself maybe someday hating Cade Cunningham the way that Not the way that people hate LeBron James.
You.
Yeah, if he victimized. But it's like if Duncan Robinson, no offense to him, if he beat, who cares? He ain't listening. Plenty of offense to Duncan Robinson. If Duncan Robinson is the one that ends up beating you so badly, you just blame your own team.
Well, and that's,
you just blame the Cavs.
That is what's happening. I also do wonder if, and the JB stuff, the war of words about officiating, and we'll see the last 3 games because everybody's going to be watching now that from an officiating perspective and the coaches like a hawk. Like people are going to be really dialed in because both teams have made it a storyline now where both teams thought they got a different whistle at home. Both teams, 100%. And the fan bases think that as well. So now that's going to be, unfortunately, and I hate that, but that is going to be a focal point over the next 2 to 3 games.
Yes.
The other thing, like you mentioned it, because we're just comparing our guys to our great teams and our one Cleveland championship team. I really wonder if LeBron James had never come through here and we hadn't had that kind of success, wouldn't this town be on another level, like for the rest of this series and going nuts? Wouldn't they? Like, let's say that whole last run from 2015 to 2018 never transpired, and say LeBron never beat the Pistons back in 2007, and that stuff never happened. If you just erase it from the memory and we were an irrelevant team, we were like the Sacramento Kings all those years, wouldn't this city be going berserk over this basketball team and the chance to break through?
I think you're right. Because before, when you made these type of trades, it just meant you were going to the NBA Finals. And I just think this is a different era. There's a conversation that you said, was it Bill Simmons you said you were listening to?
Yeah.
And how on his show they were saying that this is just going to be San Antonio and Oklahoma City for the next 8 years. And this is before the show. This is like at 5:40 this morning, and I kind of slapped the table. Sorry, I had to do it. I know that Keith gets mad because it messes around the cameras. But I slapped the table, and I'm like, I keep hearing this stuff. We got to stop having these conversations that aren't real. Like, I hate labels, and I hate not moving along the conversation and always falling back on stuff. We'll do this with you-know-who coming up later on. And I'm tired of hearing, this is going to be the way it is. Like, I thought the Celtics with Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum were going to be the next big thing for the next umpteen years. And there were plenty of people who thought that Jokic and the Denver Nuggets were going to be the big thing for the next how many years. And it hasn't been that way. And guys, we're going on over now a half a decade.
It's 7
where it's been
different championships.
It's been different teams. Like, I think we just have to realize here, and I think a lot of people don't. Like, it's just not the way it used to be, where there's this one team in the East and this other team in the West, and you just hope your franchise is one of those teams. And we got to be that way for 4 years. We were one of those 2 teams for 4 years, and it was a great history. Could have beat them twice, but hey, we ended up getting one. That's fine. It was a great time in our history. It's not like that. And I think with the way the NBA is set up, I don't think it's ever going to be like that again. Like, you've already brought it up. It's like we think Oklahoma City did everything right. They're still going to pay the fiddler for this over the next couple of years. They're going to have to let guys go. Like Boston, you've already seen it where it's like, all right, where's the next team that Jaylen Brown's going to play? And we keep having this, well, my God, who's going to step through and beat this team? Who's like, yes, Oklahoma City can repeat. They can be the first team in 6 years. But Steve Kerr, and for that matter, I think anybody with even the Golden State Warriors, the last dynastic team, they were the first ones to say it. Like, this is not going to last the way that you guys all think it's going to last.
And
things change dramatically.
When Giannis won with the Bucks, I remember, because I listened to those same national guys, they're all like, who's going to beat Giannis over the next 5 years?
Exactly.
This guy is incredible. And then the same thing happened with Jokic and the Denver Nuggets. And they're just going to be there every year. He may be the best offensive player we've ever seen in the league. Look at his numbers.
And so when I think about this type of thing, it's like, well, if you have to make moves where you move guys away, are the rivalries the same? Because I don't see the Pistons the same way that I saw the Pistons in the mid to late 2000s. Now, part of that is that they were the already established team and we were the upstart. Maybe Pistons fans feel differently about the Cavs than what Cavs fans feel differently about the Pistons. I think the rival with the Cavs is their own history. Is the comparison to having the greatest player of the generation, arguably the greatest player ever, having that guy on the team with this nucleus of Hall of Famers and going and playing one of the greatest super teams that's ever invented in the entire sport, and really with sports in general when you put all the other ones in there. And it's just this time that can't be compared. It's not comparable. And that is an unfair comparison for this Cavs team, but it's true. Like, I could sit there and look at this by the time it's all said and done. Like, say the Cavs go through the Pistons tonight. They go through the Pistons in the series. They win the series, and they go up against the Knicks, and say they fall in 7. Say they win, go to the NBA Finals, and they still fall. It's still a great run for this organization. It's nothing to, but I know what's going to be said afterwards about the quote-unquote seriousness or unseriousness. I just think a lot of us right now, we are struggling to find identity with not just the Cavs, with basically all these teams. And so it's just a pull string. And we go with teams that we think we can trust. We think we can trust Oklahoma City because of Wemby's age. We think we can trust San Antonio. And how many teams have we thought we could trust here over the last 6 years, and it just hasn't been that way? And with the second apron and everything like that, I think it affects how we feel about this Cavs team compared to Cavs teams in the past. Like, you can't compare Donovan Mitchell. Donovan was great, and you're right. He's one of 4 guys probably that off the top of your head you could think of that can do what he did the other night. He's still not you-know-who. And because he's still not you-know-who, we tend to be overly critical of him because we've seen a guy that we've done all these moves for go out there and be dominant basically whenever he wanted to.
I'll tell you this. One other thing I'm looking for tonight with both teams supercharged, paying attention to the toughness conversation that seems to be pervasive with this series, is tonight the moment with only 2 or 3 games left in this series that we get a fist fight, that we get somebody do something like we saw Wemby lashing out a couple games ago where he took an elbow to a player's face. Like, is there a chance that we see something like that tonight where both coaches are imploring their players, please come to the fight ready to go?
How do you think, I mean, I have to go to the usual suspects then, I'm sorry. How do you think Isaiah Stewart feels about things right now throughout most of this series, through the first 4 games?
He's been terrible.
Okay. So does he, in a moment of frustration, like he only played in like 5 minutes the other night, does he, in a moment of frustration, lose his mind the way that he's known to lose his mind, and does that cause a problem? I think rivalries are started with like guys of, no offense, again, I'm here saying no offense like he's listening. It usually starts with guys that are well-known going after each other. You know, like Larry Bird and Isaiah Thomas, like that type of stuff. Guys getting in each other's crawl in-game. Guys getting mad at each other in-game, going after each other. That's usually where it starts. Isaiah Stewart is a bench player. Mm-hmm. It can be a good piece, but as you said, they've taken whatever he can add. He's been taken away in the game, and they've been terrible defensively over the last couple of games. Detroit has been, and so if you take away that calling card, I just think they're kind of focused on their own game before they start taking hell hacks at the Cavs. Plus, I mean, what's really the frustration? I think they got to focus on their own stuff. So I don't know if we're going to see anything like that.
Well,
that will get the fan base's juice. That will certainly go that way.
I know we got to go.
You're right.
It's just, are we going to be a more desperate team because we're on the road? Could we be the instigators tonight? Because we have not been able to break through on the road so far in the playoffs.
216-474-0092. I would like to answer that on the other side, as well as I'm preparing for a very frustrating evening, win or lose. It doesn't matter. Ken Carman, Anthony Lima. Take us with you to work this morning on the absolutely free Odyssey app, anyofense.com. You had those storms roll through here over the last couple of weeks, and you're going, all right, I need to get everything
Genius Exteriors, the genius choice in roofing, siding, and exterior solutions you can trust.
Save big during Home Genius Exteriors Memorial Day roofing sale. Call now and get 50% off materials plus an extra $500 off and no payments till 2027. Call Home Genius Exteriors today at 855. You are genius. See website for details.
In your weeknight with the best segments of the day. The Fan Rewind. Weeknights at 11.
I'm getting ready for a frustrated night, win or lose, and I'll tell you about that coming up here in moments. Folks, we got 2-second trivia coming up at 7:45. Your chance to win a 4-pack of Mr. Hero combo meals. They're fantastic. You're going to want to eat them. Also, Brian Geltzeiler, Sirius XM NBA Radio. He's going to join us at 9 a.m. I heard an interview with Termini and Johnson with him a couple of Fridays ago because, boy, I thought it was overblown, the love for the Knicks, and my God, I didn't realize they were going to do what they did against the Pistons, so I'm going to have to ask him about that. I don't mean to get ahead of ourselves here. I know it's only a 2-2 series, but I got to have to ask a question about that, and obviously, the amount of pressure that's on Donovan Mitchell, because I think that you kind of said it right today, just at the beginning of the show, like, these are career-defining games. This is a career-defining series, no matter how far they go. There will be another chapter, like, Donovan Mitchell is up against either A, being a guy who can lead this team to a championship, or B, or leading any team to a championship, or B, being a helper to a better overall player, quote unquote, leading a team to a championship. Evan, we know what's at stake with Evan Mobley. James Harden, his entire history. I mean, we're talking about at least 2 out of 3 Hall of Famers, probably 3 by the time it's all said and done. But we're talking about 2 bona fide Hall of Famers here, and their legacies being on the line.
Did you just throw Evan Mobley in the Hall of Fame?
Well, I assume by the time it's all said and done, a lot of guys make the Hall of Fame, guys, in basketball. Is it a horrible bet?
He wasn't even an All-Star this year.
I understand that. He's still only 24 years old, so there's still a long ways to go. I said probably. I didn't say he was going to be. I know what you're doing here. A lot of guys tend to make the Naismith Hall of Fame, do they not?
They do. Yeah.
Okay. So I don't think he has the worst chances in the world of making the Hall of Fame. Okay. Can I move forward now?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. I just feel like you're trying to set me up for something.
We're playing with 3 Hall of Famers. Now the stakes just went up.
See, I know what you're doing. I know you're trying to set me up for something. I'm not stepping in the trap.
3 Hall of Famers, that's championship.
I'm not stepping in the trap. I'm talking about 2 Hall of Famers and a possible third. That's what I said. And that's by the time it's all said and done with that guy. Is Donovan Mitchell already a Hall of Famer?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Is James Harden already a Hall of Famer?
100%.
Okay, there you go. I almost said effing relaxed. I know what you're doing to me, and I don't like it.
Real quick, the hate watching thing, because I totally co-signed that to start the show, because the road games have been an unadulterated 2.5 hour, 2 hour, 45-minute hate watch. Why is that? I don't remember ever tuning into a Guardians to a playoff game and going, all right, here we go. We got to get through this. Why is that? What is it about the NBA playoffs or the Cavs situation? And you certainly would never do that for the Browns. I mean, if the Browns, when they get into the playoffs, it's the whole city is just jubilant and excited.
The Browns went to the playoffs the first time. It was like you were losing your virginity.
Yeah. Why is it?
Can't believe I'm here.
Why is it that we've got a playoff game tonight? We just saw our superstar play like a superstar and put the fear of God in Detroit. Why isn't that more of, hey, let's get excited about this?
Well, I'm hemming and hawing here. I think it's because I think that it's exactly what I said. I think your rivalry is with yourself and your own history. I do. And I think because these games are such slogs, maybe people ain't paying attention the way they always would. I mean, it's been you just said it. Like, this is going to be a 2 hour, 45-minute just mud fight is what this is going to turn into. And we romanticize that type of basketball. It'll be played into the hundreds. It's not like it's going to be 92-84 or something like that. But it'll be played into the hundreds, more than likely. And there will probably be a lot of frustration. And I don't think fans maybe look forward to frustration in round 2. We're used to having all right, here we go with the NBA Finals. But when it comes to round 2 and round 1, I think people would like a little bit of an easier road. And I got to tell you, though, but this is where this is just the new NBA. I think that a lot of teams, I know that the Knicks just had a sweep, but they had themselves kind of a tougher first-round series until they got things figured out.
100%.
The Celtics obviously had a tough series. I think there's a lot of teams that they got met with a lot more resistance than they thought that they were going to meet. I think this is just the league. I don't think that the Cavs and Pistons are any more unique than some of the other series out there.
Like, think about it. Boston is at home. Denver is at home. The Lakers are at home.
Yeah.
So obviously the notion that this is just easy, that just because either your owner spent a lot of money or you've got superstars. So why that seems kind of like an entitlement. Like we should just be in the finals. It's like,
but wait a minute.
All right, so should Boston. They have better odds than us. Should Denver. They have better odds than us. They're not there.
Walk it back for a second though. I mean, you just said like I would feel a lot better about the game if we were playing at home. I think everybody would. I think a lot of people would just say, "Well, we're winning now because it's at home." If we're playing well at home, are you saying everybody else is playing well at home? Well, at least the home court advantage is back when you want that. So at least you got, I mean, in the NBA in general, at least you got something like that going on. But I'm getting ready for a frustrating night of basketball, win or lose. I would be shocked if one of these two teams went out and blew the other one out by 25. I think it's going to be a frustrating night. I think the guys are going to miss a lot of open looks that they would have hit in the regular season. I think both teams are going to do it. I think it's going to be a frustrating ordeal for everybody involved. Yes.
Yeah, it's just the last two games, we have built significant leads. And, really the whole series, we came back from down, double digits in the first two games to make those games. Like, isn't there any excitement that odds are this will be a one-possession game with 4 minutes left?
Yes.
But why am I not feeling that? Why am I just feeling this is like a chore for everybody involved to tune in tonight?
Because
when your team is one of the last,
I know why.
What?
I know
teams?
why.
There are only five teams, 6 teams left playing basketball right now?
Because you got the refs in your head. Because you don't know which way the calls are going to go. Because we already made a big deal about Kenny Atkinson complaining in the first couple of games. We've obviously made a big deal about J.B. Bickerstaff complaining over the last couple of games. You don't know how the fouls are going to go. And because you don't know how the fouls are going to go, you don't know it's going to be called down the line. Obviously, everybody's going to be frustrated. It's basketball officiating. Somebody's going to be frustrated. But I think that's part of the reason you think you're going to be in for, at least that's part of the reason I think I'm going to be in. I don't know what I'm going to expect from the referee crew. I'm not trying to blame them. It sounds like I'm already trying to blame them. That's not what I'm doing.
Like, it would
I
be
just
one
already
thing to me.
tell you I don't know what to expect from them.
It would be one
because
thing to me,
JB was the
Kenny.
last one to talk. It's like, well, are they going to get the last word now?
If it would be one thing if we were playing like in their prime Steph Curry, and it's like, what are we going to do to slow him down? You've slowed down Cade Cunningham in every game.
Yes.
Okay? Jalen Duren's been one of the biggest disappointments in the NBA playoffs. You just held Duncan Robinson to a game where he was non-existent and couldn't even get shots up. So why isn't that carrying over to, hey, tonight might be an awesome night where we forge ahead? But is there no thought to maybe we're getting better in the series?
We may very well be, but the
Does
refs
Detroit
are
look
there.
like they're getting better?
But the refs, you also have the situation we haven't won on the road, and we've looked like a different team on the road. And the games up in Toronto and the games in Detroit, we've looked different. Now that said, chances to win both those first two games against the Pistons on the road. But it's like, hey, you're gonna have to figure out a way to close it out. And because we saw a great performance with Donovan, where he did what was necessary, it's like, all right, it's time to start driving and it's time to start getting after it. Because it's that way, then you have to look at it in a totally different way. You have to look at it and take it further and say, all right, who's going to be the next one to step up and take that? Because it can't always be Donovan. Is it James tonight, who still had a massive game just the other night with 11 assists, 24 points, and only 2 turnovers? But is it James tonight who steps up into that role? Because if the Cavs do win this game, I think that everybody's thoughts change going into tomorrow morning where, hey, the series might be over. Like, I do think tonight if the Cavs lose, I don't think the series is over. If the Cavs win tonight, I think I'm already getting ready for the New York Knicks.
So shouldn't that come with excitement? Shouldn't the city be like...
No, because it feels like it's up to you. It's up to you to take it from a team that I know you're better than. I know you're better than they are. But there's certain things that happen at certain times where I can't fully trust you because of that history. So if I can't fully trust you, that means I'm not over here pumping my chest and brimming with confidence. It's on them. If this were 3 years ago and we were more happy-go-lucky like we were, I'd be pumping my chest out and yelling from the rooftops about how dominant this team is going to be over time. I can't really say that now because there's a lot of evidence to the contrary to that, and I think a lot of people don't want to look like fools. I mean, I thought for sure that this team was going to go to the Eastern Conference Finals after round one. I thought this was setting up perfect for us.
But looking like fools, like I mean, if you've had an opinion on this series, you've already looked like a fool at some point. So that's just the way these teams are.
And that's what stops people from wanting to make another foolish decision. So, yeah, the Cavs should win in so many ways. Are they favored? Are they favored in this game?
I think they were 3-point dogs.
So that plays into it as well.
That's basically almost even Steven.
I get what you're saying, but you're asking for reasons. I'm giving you the reasons.
It's just amazing to me that this what they were able to do in Cleveland, and it looked like they were figuring stuff out. See, that is the difference. Like you figured some things out with the way your team, and I even noticed little intricacies, like the way the Cavs moved off the ball they did not do in the first two games. And I think they're going to continue that. And I think they put the Pistons in some dicey predicaments that I don't know that the Pistons can defend. Well, and I think we're the more talented team and have more skill. And we matched their toughness, and our superstar played better than their superstar. And their coach is complaining about officials.
So let me ask you
this. Is that not a formula for you guys to feel excited about tonight?
Well, then let me ask you this. I don't need some pep talk. I just need honesty. So do you feel that if the Cavs win tonight, that the series is over?
No, not over, but I feel
who's
like
the one who's cheerleading over here?
No, I'm not. I'm just not going to say things just to lie and be
I'm not trying to lie.
But
I'm not trying to lie. I'm telling the truth.
Obviously, if they go on the road and win, I'll feel really good about their state of affairs. But these teams are very close.
So who's afraid to make a statement here? Is it me or is it you? You're open to your own emotions. You don't have to lie. I'm not asking you to lie if you don't feel that way. But if you're calling me out, I'm still the one here still willing to say, like, hey, this series is over if they win tonight.
I think they're two very even teams, and I've watched how these playoffs have unfolded, and two even teams are going to be in a slugfest. And I'm excited about tonight.
216-474-0092. Is the series over if the Cavs win tonight? Is Lima right or am I right? Ken Carman, Anthony Lima. We like to find out who's right on The Fan.
It's Anthony Lima.
ConsumerTire.com. When your car needs new tires or service you can trust, choose Consumer Tire. Featuring top quality Bridgestone and Firestone tires, plus expert repairs to keep you driving safe and smooth. Honest pricing, fast service, and locations near you. Consumer Tire, where your ride comes first. ConsumerTire.com.
Listen to 92.3 The Fan on the Odyssey, iHeartRadio, and TuneIn app.
Is the series over if the Cavs win tonight? It was amazing. Carman and Whammer in the morning, you were calling everybody out.
I don't think I was calling anybody
out. You were
out.
kind of calling me out, saying I'm kind of being a pessimist, and I'm like, well, I'm the one saying if they win the game tonight, they win the series.
I'm trying to get to the psychology of why it feels like it feels, which is there doesn't seem to be excitement about this is now a best-of-3 series, and you have the number one team, you have the number one seed on the ropes.
I think there's anxiousness. I think there's nervousness. I don't think there's reason to say there's not reason to be excited is terrible, but I don't think it's the natural excitement of, like, go out and get them. I think it's, hey, you have legacies here, and when legacies are at stake, yeah, you tend to be a little bit more nervous. Plus, there's the whole thing of this not working out. If this thing doesn't work out, it's like, man, you're tapped out. You've reached the max on everything here. There's a couple of levers you can pull, but those are different conversations, even for later in the show with one particular move. But frankly, like, this is what's at stake. And when this team has been pushed, very rarely do fans believe that they've shoved back. So they're not going to have a whole lot of classic confidence in them. Once 8 o'clock strikes, you're going to want your team to win, so eventually that'll take over. But at 6:47 in the morning, I think people are being a little bit more pragmatic about it and going, yeah, there's a lot at stake here tonight. And when there's been a lot at stake there, they folded in the past. So we got to hope that they answer the challenge now because there's really no tomorrow. I think if they win tonight, I don't think if they lose tonight, the series is over. Because then you'll come back home to Cleveland and you'll probably win at home. It'll probably go 7.
See, I don't know.
Doesn't mean I think they're going to win the series in Game 7, but I'm telling you, I think if they win tonight, I think the series is over.
I feel like if they lose tonight, the city will be really down because they're gonna obviously to try to look good, right, in winning most likely, unless it's some like buzzer beater crazy they come back from behind. But if they win tonight, I think it'll seem inevitable. Like we can't beat them on the road. That's over. The series is over.
No, because you still have a home game. And I think you can beat them at home.
That only ties it. That does not win it.
But then I could still go, if depending on how they go tonight, like if they go out and they get blown out, it's going to be hard to make this argument today. And we're sitting here talking about the circumstances of a game that it doesn't even tip off for another 13 hours for crying out loud. But let's go through this exercise, right? Say they ended up not winning tonight. You still have a home game coming up. I know me. I'll talk myself into Sunday saying, oh, yeah, they're going to win. They're going to win. They're going to win. They're going to win this game. They're going to win Game 7. I will talk myself into that, and I think a lot of fans can because you're supposed to be the better team, so the better team is supposed to win Game 7, even though they haven't won on the road. Now, a lot of people will probably feel different, but I think the majority will feel my way. If they win tonight, I just think, hey, you've been a home team. You finally broke through the ceiling of winning on the road. You're coming back home. I would be very surprised if they came back home and didn't close out a team, and that would mean they won 4 straight, but they made what looked like pretty easy work out of the Pistons throughout the regular season. So, yeah, I would feel that they have something figured out, like you had brought up over the first couple of games. But I feel like, yeah, if they win tonight, then that's the series. And I'm trying to be as practical and honest as I possibly can be. Yes, I've been a fanboy. Yes, I've been a homer. Guilty as charged and all those things. But I'm telling you the absolute truth of how I see things. And I know that you don't want to rush to declarative statements considering none of us have been right about anything in this postseason. And that's not just us. I think that's every fan and every host in sports. But watching what they did and watching what they could do tonight, if they win this evening, that's 3 in a row. You finally won on the road. I think you've broken through some emotional roller coaster that you can win on the road now in this postseason against these teams. And then I think you come back home and you're feeling confident. You're going to play confidently in front of your home crowd. The crowd will be excited because they'll smell blood in the water. I think you're going to win the series. I think so. Is that such a bad thing?
No, who would say that's a bad thing?
I'm just pointing. It was just weird because you kind of made me out to be like I'm a negative person over here.
No, I'm
not trying to be negative. I'm just trying to be honest.
Look, that's a different question entirely. Over 2 teams that seem pretty evenly matched. Like I think it's silly to make big declaratives. What I'm saying is, It's a best-of-3 series. You've got it to a best-of-3, and we're all saying the same thing, right? Like, we think we have more talent. We think we have more skill. Like, that's an exciting spot to be in, and I'm not sensing anybody feels that way.
But is it declarative if I do really believe it's the truth? I just think it's the truth. I'm not trying to make some grandiose statement and get something on YouTube here. I'm just being honest with you. I'll whisper it. Is one team has more to lose. Yeah, so that means more pressure, and that team has not responded well to that pressure. That's the Cavaliers, clearly. But you have the better, deeper basketball team. Cade Cunningham is the best player overall on the floor. I'm not going to deny that. But you have the better overall basketball team. You have, even though there's James Harden there, I think the 3 of the main pieces of the 4 pieces have played together the longest. James is I think he's going to be the most pivotal piece today. And are you going to keep the turnovers down? Are you going to dribble the hell out of the basketball? Are you going to force up bad shots? Are you going to turn the ball over? Like, are you going to do these things that have been plaguing you in the first couple of games of the series? Or are you going to have more of what you had back in the other night, where you had 24 points, 11 assists, which were a bigger deal than anybody, and only had 2 turnovers? And hey, Donovan was great. 39.5 is amazing. It sets a franchise record. It ties an NBA record. 24-0 run, that was amazing as well. But let's not discount how important James Harden was to that. And I don't need to make him the focal point of it. I just wonder if he ends up being that way, because there's going to be a lot of pressure that's going to be put on 45 today against that team, or what that team does to the Cavs. So he might have to step up in his own right. And finally, I think they found a way to break through and play the inside-out type of game that we've wanted them to. They were tougher inside the other night. James obviously didn't turn the ball over and was able to find outlets at a much better rate. I think that this has been a much easier team to watch over the last couple of games. That's easy to say because they won, but it's just a better brand of basketball. Like, you won that game. I look at the first couple of games, it's like, yeah, you lost those games. You could have won them. I don't know if you deserved to win those games. This was a game the other night you deserved to win, because I didn't think it was just Donovan Mitchell. You see 43 and you think he threw him on his back. I think a lot of guys had some really good games on the other night. And I think that I can play off of that going into this series, or going into the rest of the series into Game 5 tonight.
I think Detroit is going into this game going, what are we going to do about that alien Evan Mobley that looked like the Defensive Player of the Year from a year ago? And how are they going to combat that? Because he was on such another level. And I feel like even locally, he has not gotten enough credit for how dominating defensively he was. He does it in a way that maybe, I know he did have 5 blocks, right? And he contested so many others.
Yep.
But it doesn't seem as powerful as what people are used to with dominating defensive efforts. But man, was he a thorn in the side of that Detroit team for the entirety of that game.
And we shouldn't be surprised, and maybe it's just because of how he sounds, because we make the jokes about him being the sheriff. Maybe it's how he sounds. Maybe it's because of his frame. He's not the biggest frame in the world. This isn't Shaq standing out there that was always 300 plus and big and strong and bulky. This has been a Defensive Player of the Year, rightfully so, a former Defensive Player of the Year, a guy that would be in the conversation hopefully for the rest of his career in that way, and obviously put together a tremendous basketball game. That might be more of a focal point than what I even said with James Harden. But with those 3 factors that are involved, plus Jared Allen, who played like he wasn't even injured the other night, I think it's hard to say for me that if you win this game tonight, the runway is there, right? It's hard for me not to say, if you win this game tonight, the runway is there for the next round with the Knicks. Like, I'm coming in tomorrow. I'm celebrating. I'm already thinking about the New York Knicks. I already am. Because I think that you figured it out against JB, against the Detroit Pistons, that, yeah, the Pistons may be a really hardcore basketball team coming up in the next couple of years, but they are not ready yet to break through that ceiling. You have been, and you've consistently failed over the last few years. Now it's time to actually break through and get to the Eastern Conference Finals. It's right there for the taking for them. Coming up at 7:45, only 45 minutes away, you have a chance to win a 4-pack of Mr. Hero combo meals with 2-second trivia. Coming up at 7:22, what this guy could really add to the offense. We'll tell you who at 7:22. And is it true, or is it just something we like to say when we really didn't watch the game? What is that? I'll tell you in 5 minutes on The Fan.
This is an Odyssey Sports Minute.
Take the women, yeah.
by following the Browns playlist and 92.3 The Fan on the Odyssey app. Headline sports news every 20 minutes right here on 92.3 The Fan. From the University Hospital Sports Desk, I'm Jeff Thomas.
Catch Afternoon Drive with Nick Wilson and Jonathan Peterlin live on YouTube each and every weekday from 2 to 7 p.m.
There's a conversation that isn't going away. Can I take a real quick sidetrack here? I know we got Game 5 tonight. It's not going away. I want to bring this up later on in the show as well, but I'm going to do it right now. The nonstop, because I said Cavs or Lakers for LeBron in the future. That's it. And anybody in Cleveland has either said, I'm an idiot for even saying the Lakers, or they don't want him back, which is amazing, and I want to get to that here in a second. But there's a lot of people that get a hold of it from elsewhere, and they're San Antonio and Oklahoma City and Golden State. I'm going, I think he's going to go where he's comfortable. I don't think he's going to go chasing. I don't think that that's part of what he wants to do. I think he does want to compete. I think he does want to win. But I just don't think he's going to be. I wonder if he sees himself if he goes to another place. If he goes to a San Antonio, are you just like Gary Payton at the end? Like, does he see himself that way? Like, Gary Payton didn't have a championship, but does he see himself that way? Like, you're trying to chase it. You're trying to do that, where he knows these things just don't happen overnight. That's why I think it's like the Cavs, because I think he'd be retiring if he comes to the Cavs. And I think it's with the Lakers because I think that they've built something nicely there. And I understand Bill Ryder said he knows for a fact that Luka and him don't like each other. There's been plenty of guys that don't like each other and play at a very high level. If Luka would have been healthy, I think it might have been a little bit of a different series. Probably Oklahoma City still would have won. But I think that those are the things that he takes into account about helping himself be able to ride off into the sunset with also being on a team that can compete. And I think that he concerns himself with that greatly. However, there is one thing that when we talked about it yesterday for a little bit, where the people fighting him coming back, well, I don't want the drama. You had a bunch of people saying they didn't want the drama, right? They didn't want to invite the drama. And I go, guys, we can't just dust off our old arguments about all this stuff that's happened and keep saying it over and over.
Yeah, what would be the drama?
We're at the end. We are at the end of his career. There's no more drama. Or there's just as much drama as there has been with this current team, but he's done. If he comes back here, I think he's done after the season. So if he's done and we're going to have this big send-off, I'm kind of used to the drama. I don't know how much more drama there is. There's no more fit in, fit out. There might be a bowling trip. Who knows? I don't know, but I just don't think it's going to be the same way, Tone.
I don't think there'd be drama at all. I think that's nonsense. I think that's something people are projecting, hoping that would happen because they don't like LeBron or for whatever reason because of like things outside of basketball, which is kind of funny to me too. Like I just think how any Cavs fan, when there's been this malaise over the entire season, and now even today, as you're one of 6 teams left playing basketball, I'm not even hearing excitement out of fans for a chance to go to the Eastern Conference Finals. Like, yeah, the minute you'd get LeBron James, I think there would be such an excitement level, whether it's nostalgia, whether it's the fact he can still play the game, whether or not the fact that he is the embodiment of what you're missing, a player at that size, being able to play, small forward or whatever you want to call LeBron at this stage of his career. And oh, by the way, the people that say that they don't want that drama, they're not season ticket holders. Season ticket holders desperately want LeBron James to come back to Cleveland.
Yes.
And those are the real fans anyway.
Yes,
so,
you're right.
So I think it's a bunch of non-basketball fans or people that parachute in, this time of year that are
But
like, I don't want the drama of LeBron James.
And I just don't think it's going to be the same type of drama in the past.
Nobody cares about your opinion anyway.
Well, but I care about their opinion.
I don't, because those are the people telling me not to get excited about the Cavs in general. So why would I care about your opinion?
Well, wait a minute.
I am a Cavs fan.
You were still the same person that said the series was over when they were down 2-0.
Yeah,
so wait a minute.
I thought a lot of Cavs fans.
So now you're going to call fans out for being a little bit.
You're not understanding the differences. There's an honesty. You can be honest with where you think your team is.
I think that's all they're trying to be.
But that's different from, hey, we could have the best player in the history of the game who's also from here come back and have a magical year next year. And he's still really good.
Well, I agree with you on that, but you're the one who brought it into this current feeling with the Cavs.
No, I don't care about the opinions of people that take their cues from cable news on whether to like LeBron James. I'm not really taking inventory of their opinion on a daily basis.
I think that there are definitely some people who probably watch cable news and take their opinions about that from LeBron
some
James.
People
okay,
that
there's
take their
probably
marching
a lot
order
of people
from
who do
cable
that.
news.
But you can't act like there's no legitimate Cavs fans who don't want LeBron James to come back.
Nobody in my life that are big Cavs fans.
I don't agree with them.
Fit that category.
Well, you know what? That's amazing that you and I would know different people. Amazing to see that we would know different people in different walks of life.
You have diehard Cavs fans that are they season ticket holders?
No.
Okay.
No.
Well, I'm telling you what.
That.
I can tell you
I know far fewer season ticket holders.
Every
than you
season
do.
ticket holder I know is on their knees praying LeBron James comes home for obvious reasons.
But just because they want to make money, but I want them to see him. I want to see him win.
But they're already season ticket holders, so they also like the Cavs. Like they also go to the games while there's this pervasive feeling of malaise around the team.
Cousin. My cousin has a ticket package. Okay. Let me text my cousin. I want you and Nick in a car to go ahead and talk while I text Jimmy here. Hold on. Let me get to Nick in a car. Hello, Nick. Go ahead. It's you and Tone because I got to text him. I got to text somebody right now. Go ahead.
Good morning, gentlemen. Thank you. Text your cousin there. Lima, I am a huge Cavs fan. I've been a Cavs fan for years, since the Price Nance Doherty days. I want nothing to do with LeBron James. I want nothing to do with him coming back, and let me tell you why.
Go ahead.
A couple reasons why. Number one, I'm not a cuckold. I'm done. He's done us dirty twice. I'm so sick and tired of groveling.
Is this a real
to this
call?
guy. Oh, because he brought us a championship. So did the rest of that squad. Do we win a championship without LeBron James?
No. That's insanity.
Yes, so
you had no chance to win a championship without LeBron. You get down on your knees and you should beg LeBron James to come back. Who wants his 23 points a game and 50% from the field?
Why?
Who wants that?
Wait a minute. Why?
Who wants his 6 assists a game?
Nick just
Who
proved
wants
my
his
point.
steals?
Nick just proved my point.
He's a liar.
Champions
No,
pose.
you can champions pose.
You can't just accuse somebody of being a liar just because they disagree with you.
It's a plant.
You can't just accuse somebody of that.
It's clear. It's so evident. There's no way a guy who is a diehard Cavs fan would gloss over, the championship to talk about him leaving twice. There's no way. And guess what? He would be coming back here a second time, and he would be here 3 times. So there's no way any real Cleveland sports fan, who especially is a basketball fan, would sit there and not take 23 points a game at 50% from the field and as well-rounded a player as he still is, and historically an all-time force in sports.
I would take him back, but you can't just sit there and fart on anybody. That's a guy who is a Cavs fan, and that was his opinion.
Because his feelings were hurt because he left a second time after he delivered something that apparently J.R. Smith is just as much part of the championship as LeBron James is. I'd like to see his pie for the championship.
I want to congratulate J.R. Smith for graduating North Carolina A&T. That's a hell of an accomplishment.
He probably thinks
it's on the golf team.
He probably thinks David Blatt is 60% responsible for that championship too.
Guys, Nick is back on the line. Do you want him again?
No. Once they're kicked, they're kicked. I'm sorry. I have to adhere to the rules.
I'm thinking of Michael Corleone talking to Fredo. You just took sides against the family, Lil John.
You can't.
John, take that phone and hang it up.
John, just go ahead and move on. 216-474-0092. I didn't mean to even get into this conversation. I'm still waiting on Jimmy's response, so I might have to butt in at some point. Who knows if he's listening right now? But let me just go back to it. If we're going to have this conversation, we will. Because we're never going to not have it, at least this offseason. No matter how far, the Cavs could win a championship this year, and we will still have the LeBron conversation. It's still going to happen. Hell, it might even be more likely that you get LeBron if you win a championship this year. The conversation, you cannot, if we're going to do this, you can't just dump off everybody who disagrees with you and say it's a plan or a conspiracy or they have their head up their ass.
I just want to know how anybody like that could not wait a championship over him leaving twice. The winning the championship is 100 out of 100. The leaving the first time, yes, we were all humiliated, we were all blindsided. It's also during a different era of sports. Now nobody's blindsided if a player leaves. Everybody just assumes that these players are going to leave. So yeah, it was a different time. We were more innocent, sports fan. That is over. I mean, your favorite college player will leave so fast to make $1 more. So we're dealing with a different era. So I don't even apply that to today's standards. The leaving a second time, Like, whoever thought LeBron was seriously going to stay
I
here?
bet Jeremiah Smith could have made more money elsewhere, and he stayed.
Yeah, he says he could have.
I bet he.
I
You
wonder
think
what his
Texas
agent
Tech
thinks.
would have paid him a hell of a lot of money?
I actually think so, but that is the rare exception. I think 99% of these guys will leave the first chance they get.
Go ahead.
And so it's a different era altogether. I never thought. I think you had to be pretty delusional to think LeBron was going to hold to his word that he was. Yeah, all players say they're going to stay. They say that all the time.
Okay.
And the second time, like, it's kind of shame on you for thinking he wouldn't leave when he wanted to win more championships and he wasn't going to be able to do it in Cleveland. That was over at that time.
Are you talking about the first or second time?
The second time. That was the thought. The thought was we had maxed it out and we weren't going to be able to do it. So, like, I always thought he was going to leave again if the Cavs pushed all their assets.
I didn't really see it happening, though, with the Lakers, though. I know he won a championship with the Lakers, but you're the one who wants to put an asterisk about it. So I think we're doing a little bit of revisionist history ourselves over here,
If you would have
Tone.
asked me, I would have wagered a lot of money he would have gone to the Lakers.
Do you believe? Okay, but I didn't think that going to the Lakers necessitated championships. I understood why he went to the Heat. I understood why he came back, and then when all the other things happened, you could really understand why he came back. Going to the Lakers, I thought was just a business decision.
I thought it was
and had
both.
they not be in the bubble, I don't know if they would have won a championship. I think that you're talking about a basketball-obsessed player who's the best in the league, and you put all this in his court to go ahead and win.
For whatever reason, I was not bowled over when he left. What I'm saying is I don't understand how a Cleveland fan that all we've said our whole lives is, man, if somebody could just win us a title and help us win a title, the city is going to feel this way about this guy. We always used to joke about they'll never have to buy a drink again. And you guys all turned your back on that, the ones who were saying the stuff
LeBron
you're saying.
doesn't need me to buy him a drink. I don't think he drinks during the season.
You so quickly clearly didn't mean any of that.
But also you quickly have to understand you cannot, we're talking about people's emotions here. And I agree with you. There's no begging him to come back and there's no begging him to stay because he's just going to retire the year after he comes here. So that's it. I agree with you on that. But you can't get so nasty with everybody because it's their emotions.
I've never met a person in real life who acts like that the championship doesn't really matter, which is what that guy was saying. He won a championship, but he left us twice and humiliated. He didn't humiliate me.
I hate to admit this.
He didn't humiliate me. Maybe you got to worry about your own feelings and your own perspective when it comes to that.
I disagree with their perspective, but I do know people who act like that in real life. And I disagree with them in real life about it. But I do know those type of people. Cousin Jimmy hasn't texted back, and I'm getting pissed off at him.
I am flabbergasted that anybody could minimize the championship to the degree that guy just did.
I'm not talking about the Jimmy everybody thinks, so stop sending me your nasty tweets, okay? That guy owns the Bucks.
And I just think also, like, having LeBron here for his swan song, for the nightly tributes, I think in a way it takes so much pressure off the other guys, including Donovan. Like, because the regular season, of which you guys all say doesn't matter, it's all going to be about
the superstar.
Yeah, it's all going to be about that. It's all going to be about it's all going to be about everywhere he goes and the gifts he's going to get every step of the way. And he's still going to have those harken back moments. It's going to take a lot of the pressure away from the daily, is this a championship team? Because this year, that's all we cared about. And it kind of did put a damper on the regular season. That goes right out the window if LeBron comes back.
All right, I'm going to get to some of you guys on this. 216-474-0092. Oh, really? Yeah. All right, never mind. Let's just go to the phones. I love it. I call it the ring. I love it. Denise in Cleveland Heights. You're first up on the fan. Hello.
Okay, if mad was the word, I would be her. Because how soon people forget? This man, he did whatever he needed to do for his career, which we all do, but he wasn't allowed to do that without somebody getting in their feelings. He brought a championship here, something we hadn't had in 50 years, and now all of a sudden he's a leper. And I'm mad at one of the hosts because the host that's defending this, he's absolutely right. You're saying that the guy on the phone has a right to his opinion, but your co-host doesn't have a right to his.
My co-host doesn't have the right to belittle him. My co-host doesn't have. I'm the guy. I'm the host. You're talking to me.
Denise, get more in there.
Wait, because hold on. What's the fact? What's the fact here? Because okay,
LeBron deserves way more respect than that caller wanted to give.
So because I disagree, so should I?
1,000%.
If I disagree with you, I should yell at you, belittle you, and call you dumb, and have Owen hang up on you. Should I do that?
Do you disagree with her?
Wasn't he yelling? Wasn't he belittling?
He wasn't yelling. Lima started yelling.
No, he was yelling. I heard.
He started yelling because Lima was yelling.
Well, you know what?
No, Ken, I'm not going to kick her.
He was right in the fact
I'm not asking you to.
You
Quit
have
asking
to
me
show
to.
somebody who brought something to this town. I mean, the beloved Browns
Nobody's
that
on
everybody
TV.
loves so much can't win anything. The Guardians can't
We'll
win
leave it to the
anything.
Cavs. The Cavs' problems aren't the Browns' problems.
Here was LeBron James.
Listen.
LeBron is from here.
He's a champion.
one
Yep.
of us.
He's a champion. He made us a city of champions.
Why am I getting yelled at just because I want to hear other people's opinions on something I don't agree with them on? I
Thank
don't
you,
agree with them
Denise.
on.
If you want to hear opinion, this is mine. He's a winner.
Thank you.
Denise,
Thank you.
But that, even though I agree with you,
this city was considered a city of losers for
Even
so
though
long until
I agree
LeBron
with
James
you,
came around.
I am not. If the guy, like, if Nick would have called up and been like the guy who called in about the I Promise school and tried to make the argument that LeBron didn't hang the drywall, which was the wildest call.
I think it was that guy. I think it was the guy who called us today.
No, I remember who it was, and that was probably the wildest call in the history of sports talk radio in this city, maybe even in the country that day. And we all remember it well. Then yeah, I would have said Nick had his head up his ass. But this is an emotional thing, and you know how people feel about him emotionally. And I know that it bothers you because it does bother me, just where there were some people who just kind of wanted to go with the flow in 2016, whereas it bothers me because I think that we should treat all three teams. Yes, there would be a huge groundswell because of the Browns or Guardians because of how long it's been. With the Cavs, I think there are people who treat it less, which I hate. I absolutely hate. But because of that, just because I disagree with them, doesn't mean I have to tell them that their head is in their ass all the time. Because it's an emotional thing. It's not even just factual.
I so love that the Cavs were the team to do it because it bothers people, and guys like that. That guy is bothered that LeBron James brought you the championship. So you know what, dude? You are a cuck because you had to watch LeBron win the championship, and it bothers you that it wasn't the Guardians.
With that talk.
It bothers you that it wasn't the Browns, and every day you'll never erase history. It was LeBron James that gifted you a championship, and you can't take it. It's going to bother you till the day you die, and your family hates you for it.
I looked for the chair in our hotel room, and I did not find the chair in our hotel room.
Did you have a command center?
Even there was no you-know-what chair throughout the entire room. Even when they switched us to the suite because the AC broke when we were down in Miami, there was no room.
Congratulations on all your success.
There was no room for the chair.
I'm getting the same.
Chair.
I'm getting the same videos on Instagram you are.
Yeah.
The different areas of the hotel. I mean, I think they're doing it just for fun now.
Yes.
They're just like, how can we do this so we can get more social media appeal?
The one was weird because it was behind like a wall partition, and there's just a chair sitting there, and it's like, well, you can't even see the rest of the bed.
Mirrors. It all has to do with the mirrors.
It's too much. Let's not try too hard. The best thing about it is that it's classic and easy.
You end up walking into one.
Brian Geltzeiler, 9 o'clock. All right, I'm going to get to some of you guys on this. 216-474-0092. That and we're making a big deal about it because we know we're close and we're desperate to find a fix on offense. That's exactly why we're making a big deal about this kid, because we can smell it, especially looking at some of the other teams in the division. Ken Carman, Tone Master General. 2-second trivia. You can eat a lot of Mr. Hero if you answer 2 questions within 2 seconds each at 7:45 on The Fan.
4. Wayside Furniture, keeping it local since 1937.
Roads are a little slick this morning because of the rain, and now we're starting to get the backup on 77 northbound in the construction zone by Woodland Avenue. Jeff Thomas, Odyssey Cleveland traffic.
This is where Cleveland fans turn to talk Cavs basketball. We are Sports Radio 92.3 The Fan.
What a day. What a morning. 2-second trivia coming up at 7:45. It is a Cavs game day in every sense of the word. Lord Almighty. You want to take a couple more of these?
Do you think LeBron, people have wondered, like whether LeBron would come to some of these games, whether it's the Knicks, whether it's, whoever's left. Do you think he shows up like Dylan Brooks to any of these games?
Is he supposed to be excited about someone's demise there?
No. Just sometimes you wouldn't put it past for the theatrics, right? Like, where's LeBron going to play next?
Oh.
And now he shows up, and let's say it's the Cavs and the Knicks in the Eastern Conference Finals. Would he show up at Madison Square Garden? Would he show up in Cleveland?
He should go. If he comes to Cleveland, he needs to sit up at the upper deck like Sting and look down upon
That'd be
things.
amazing.
And see whether or not like John Fanta looks up and it's like, it's LeBron. Like Sting is up there. Just what's he doing up there? 216-474-0092. All right, let me get to Chuck in Paramount. Hello, Chuck.
Yo, what up, fellas? How you guys doing?
We're doing well, Chuck. Go right on ahead.
For one, I say I was mad, when LeBron left, and happy when he came back, but I understood what was going on. We wasn't putting a team around him. We was frugal with the money, and he went and did what he had to do.
That was the first time. Yeah,
honestly,
I agree.
A lot of the other cities he went to, didn't deserve him. You know what I mean? If anybody could complain about him leaving, it's the state that birthed him, and I feel like that's us. All these other cities that talk crap about him just better be happy he ever came. So what I do want to say, Ken, you full of it, all right? That's why I say you full of it.
What?
Because you said LeBron, and it's not the first time you said it. You've repeatedly said he only won with the Lakers because of the bubble, that ring that year. And that's crazy to me. You know what I mean? Every team was playing.
Excuse me, Chuck. I have not repeatedly said that. Another guy on this show has said that and has said so repeatedly, and I was regurgitating and throwing in his face during the argument that he has said that many times over.
Here come the thanks for calling, Chuck. Can I just get the rest off?
You can, but what you just said was false. You mischaracterized me. I just told you what the truth is. He's over here not paying attention because he wants the heat on me, not on him. But he knows what he said. You're the one who posted an asterisk picture moment he won it.
I thought they benefited big time because that mileage that gets accrued over the season for the veterans, him and Anthony Davis, they didn't have to worry about that because they got to recharge and have all that time off. I mean, once they got in the bubble, there were some teams that didn't even want to be there.
So rip him. Don't come after my ass. Don't come ripping me.
I think it's harder to win in the bubble. I mean, when these guys are used to a crowd, all the circumstances, and it's tough to play in front of no one. It's just y'all on the court. I mean, y'all don't think it's tougher? Think it's easier?
I think it was. If you want my honest opinion,
it was just so weird. I don't know what to compare it to.
If you have the greatest player in the NBA, Chuck, like I saw that. Who the hell is the guy who plays for the Heat that went off that series back in the day in the bubble? Do we remember? Why am I drawing a blank? Tyler Hero. Tyler Hero went off, okay? And I'm going, he doesn't do this in the Eastern Conference Finals if they have road games. I remember these arguments.
Mm-hmm.
And you agreed with me. It wasn't even an argument.
Remember even
now, Chuck, I thank you very much for the call.
Jamal Murray and Donovan. And people, Donovan was a lesser name back then, but they were going back and forth, 40 points, 50 points in the bubble. And you just felt like, would they have the mileage, having to travel back and forth? That was a part of it, too. They didn't have to do any of that. They just got up and balled every day.
I thought that a championship's a championship is a championship. I don't like the whole argument about asterisks and things like that because I think we can always find something. You go back to the 95 World Series. I'm sorry, whose case is the trophy in? And I could argue about balls and strikes all I want.
Oh, yeah.
Okay? I think you just drive yourself crazy when you do things like that. So the championship is what it is. I do think, though, that the greatest player in the world who has a encyclopedic knowledge of the game encyclopedic knowledge of how things should go on the floor and can lock in because he's trying to lock in his own legacy. I almost thought that was almost fish in a barrel. When you had guys openly complaining and then trying to sneak out and doing other things, it's like this guy. I mean, the Clippers were like getting ready to leave.
Yeah, they didn't want to be there. They almost just left.
You have the most focused player in the NBA who could round up his team and circle the wagons and go, we're going. Yeah. We're just going to win this thing, and that's the way it's going to go. I think that played into his hand. Two more things real quick. Cousin Jimmy texted me back, finally got back to me. I said, do you want LeBron back and why? He's a season ticket holder. He says, heck yeah. So there you go. That's a season ticket holder in your corner who does want him back. Somebody else has texted us that Justin Bibb just called about a chair, too. If you guys want go ahead
and we're just getting started.
If you want to argue about that. Mary Kay Cabot, she was on Baskin and Phelps yesterday, and this is what Mary Kay had to say about Taylon Green.
Yeah, I think he's a storyline in large part because he actually does have a chance to contribute early on. When you think about 4th and 1 and goal line situations and 4 minutes, if he demonstrates that he's ready to go out there and play and isn't going to turn the ball over, which has been a problem for him, if he can tighten that up and make a few other improvements, then I think it is a storyline because we could see him on opening day. So absolutely it is a storyline, and boy, does he have some incredible physical traits. That height just stands out as the first thing. He's just got a very solid frame. The speed, a couple times he took off running with that 4.36 speed, and then he had good spin on the ball. Now he needs to harness his throwing motion and his power, but if he can do that with some really good coaching and maybe some work with a private tutor or more work with a private QB coach in his 6-week break, he can really come back and hit the ground running for training camp.
I'll take her word for it because the one highlight they showed looked like he was shot put in the pass. Oh, the one going across the middle. I think you saw it.
That,
okay.
Yeah.
But I knew he throws hopefully better than that. The other thing is that I saw a lot of people last week who, when I'm just trying to follow along online, a lot of people, why are we arguing? Why are you guys having so big an argument over 6th-round pick? Why are we making such a big deal about a 6th-round pick? And I go, guys, you got to get your head out of the sand. And I know what you've accused people of. You got to get your head out of the sand. How good is the defense? How good is the defense?
It's one of the top 5 in the NFL.
How good are the last 2 draft classes? Now, we know that the last draft class was good. How promising is this draft class?
Promising,
both positives. Do you fear Aaron Rodgers?
No.
Do you fear Lamar Jackson?
Not as much as I did.
Not as much as you did. Joe Burrow?
Not as much as I did.
Not as much as you did. Yeah, guys. I got to tell you, and I'm not trying to be fine. If you want to accuse me of it, fine. I'm not trying to give you a pep talk about the Browns on a Cavs day. But let's call it what it is. He's a 6th-round pick, and we're making a big deal about him because we're that damn desperate to get the offense fixed because you think that you have a defense that can compete and go to the playoffs. You look at a division that's kind of down. I don't know what the Ravens are going to do. Just because they fired John Harbaugh doesn't mean that everything's going to be fixed. What if more's on Lamar and Lamar, not LeBron, Lamar can't answer the challenge? What if Joe Burrow goes down again or has a healthy season and just isn't Joe Burrow again the way he has been in the past?
Still sucks,
or their defense still sucks. And so I look at it and go, yes, by the classic sense of it, we got a lot of building to do. We got a lot of things to do. But the offense looks like it's improved because how could it get any worse? We're desperate to fix the offense here because I don't want to sit here and play patty cakes and waste at least a half of what a great football team is because that's all we're talking about doing. If we're talking about 2027, all we're really doing is talking about wasting another year of a great defense. And great defenses, just like great offensive lines, don't last forever. And so, yeah, I think it has to be discussed. Taylon Green has to be discussed. Because we don't have the quarterback situation figured out. And instead of waiting until 2027, I have doubts about Brendan Sorsby. He needs to be discussed. Taylon Green needs to be discussed. These guys who are realistic, who could possibly fix things or help fix things, need to be discussed because we're desperate. So does Shedeur. So does Deshaun, as much as we can hate it. They all need to be discussed because you feel like you're closer, especially with the other teams. You feel like you're closer than you've been over the last couple of years. Maybe not as close to the ultimate prize, but at least being a competitive team that's watchable on a Sunday. Hell yeah. And you have a new head coach that gets along really well with the fans. We're in a honeymoon period still, but I just didn't understand the whole thing of, well, why are you talking about Taylon Green? Why wouldn't we be talking about Taylon Green? 6'6", multifaceted, hell of an athlete, plays quarterback. It's fish in a barrel, guys. Fish in a barrel. 9 o'clock, Brian Geltzeiler going to join us on the show. We'll talk Cavs with him. We'll talk Cavs Pistons with him. Up next, your chance to eat free Mr. Hero. It's 2-second trivia. You can win a 4-pack of Mr. Hero combo meals if you answer 2 questions within 2 seconds each. Mr. Hero, your chance to win it. 2-second trivia. 216-474-0092. It's coming up in 5 on The Fan.
XTE.
Get it at 923thefan.com/rules.
The next milepost for the Browns offseason is the NFL schedule release and our world-famous schedule game. The radio home of the Cleveland Browns has you covered. We are 92.3 The Fan. You have 2 seconds, and only 2 seconds to win. This is 2-second trivia.
It is time for 2-second trivia and a chance to win a 4-pack of Mr. Hero combo meals. Mr. Hero knows how important a family dinner can be, and that's why they offer 2 different size family packs. Choose any 4 sandwiches, 4 sidekicks, and a 2-liter and enjoy. That's a lot of food and a lot of great value. Order online at MrHero.com. You can win that 4-pack of Mr. Hero combo meals right now if you answer 2 questions within 2 seconds each on 2-second trivia. We start out with Bob in Paynesville, home of the Riverside Beavers. Bob, good morning.
Good morning.
Lima, take it away.
Which Major League Baseball team did the Guardians just pull off a significant trade to bring in a catcher? He got it.
Oh,
I didn't hear it.
He got it right at the edge.
The judge is in a nice mood today. Let's keep it that way. All right, Bob, you are in the barn. Are you ready for your chance to win and eat free Mr. Hero in 2-second trivia?
Oh, you know it.
Lima, take it away.
All right, when we talked to Mary Kay Cabot in the now infamous sandwich-making controversy, I said chicken salad was my favorite sandwich to make. Ken Carman said which sandwich was his favorite to make?
The Pilgrim.
Oh, great guess.
Not to eat, but to make.
Guess.
But I could see you trying to pull that off.
All right, let's get to
favorite one to slap on his shirt while he's driving.
Dan in Northfield, where every 19 minutes the place goes crazy. Dan, are you ready to win 2-second trivia?
Yes, sir.
Lima, take it away.
We talked about all the parity with the NBA champions. How many different NBA teams have won titles consecutively now?
7.
Yes! He got it.
Woo, doggies. All righty, Dan, you are in the barn. Are you ready for your chance to eat some free Mr. Hero?
Let's do it.
Lima, take it away.
Well, he's not a member of Stephen Vogt's family, but who is also now a roommate with Stephen Vogt, who happens to be the Guardians bench coach.
Sorry. Scott in Campbell, Ohio. Campbell?
It is.
Damn it. I got to look up who the Campbell Memorial High School's mascot is.
Campbell Memorial Red Devils, Kenny. Come on over.
Red Devils.
Good.
I'll be dipped. All right. Well, I think there's Mr. Heroes in that area. Either way, we're about to find out. Scott, are you ready?
I sure am, Ken. Let's do it.
Lima, take it away.
Who leads the Wine and Gold in playoff minutes with 37 a game?
Oh, that's Dr. Ziggy Boombot.
I think he's third.
That is a listener and a half right there, my friend. Dr. Ziggy Boombots. We haven't referenced Dr. Ziggy Boombots in a long time,
no, we
man.
have not.
What do you think he's doing right now? He's over there in Chardon. I ought to stop by his place.
You should.
The Hilltoppers.
Jan in Orange Village, home of the Lions. Jan, are you ready?
Yes, let's do it.
Lima, take it away.
Where did Spencer Fano go to college?
It's number 9 overall pick, guys. Come on. Come on. Dan in Avon Lake, home of the Shoremen. Dan, are you ready?
Let's go.
Lima, take it away.
Who leads Major League Baseball with 17 home runs?
85.
Not a bad guess.
No.
Joe in Cleveland, home of the Rhodes Rams. Joe, are you ready?
I'm ready.
Lima, take it away.
What does the B stand for in J.B. Bickerstaff?
Brian.
Close. You know that one, Owen?
I can't say it on air.
Close. Justin in Seven Hills, home of the Normandy
You made me do this, you bitch!
Invaders.
No,
Justin,
that's not what the B stands for.
are you ready?
Yeah, good morning.
Morning to you, Justin. Lima, take it away.
Which cowardly horse, because apparently can't run another race, won the Kentucky Derby?
I don't know. Happy place.
Coward.
What? You don't know that.
Show up and show out.
Well, okay, but if
it's the Triple Crown.
Ken, you didn't hear last week the horse was on the show.
Yeah, we interviewed
Anthony
him.
You know,
asked.
if the horse gets injured out there, they shoot it. They shoot
what?
the horse. It's not like
What?
if Luka Doncic can't go, they shoot him.
do you
They
want
shoot
it?
the horse.
Do you
That's
want
not
it or
what LeBron
not?
said to do.
You want it or no? You don't want it. The horse already won the Kentucky Derby. Put him out the stud. Was it a guy horse or a girl horse? Either
It
way,
was a guy horse with a girl trainer.
I don't know if
That's right.
they've identified yet.
Peter in Brunswick, home of the Blue Devils. We've had Red Devils and now Blue Devils. Peter, are you ready?
I sure am, Ken. Let's go.
Lyman, take it away.
What prospect did the Guardians give away in the Patrick Bailey trade?
Ooh, Eric Kirk.
Slowies. Come on, you guys.
How about
Tony.
a hatch and dance?
Tony in Lakewood, home of the Ragers. Tony, hello.
How you guys doing?
We're doing wonderful. Lima, take it away.
Which NBA player leads the playoffs in blocks a game at an absurd 4?
Wembanyama.
Yes.
All right. Finally, we're back on track. Tony, are you ready for your chance to win?
I'm ready.
Lima, take it away.
Who won the college football playoff last year?
Indiana.
Boom.
What the hell?
Level 2.
That was a level 2
What a level 2.
question. That was a level 2 question.
Running out of time. Congratulations.
Oh, my God.
At 7:53, it becomes a level 2 question.
All right.
Tony, what is your name?
Tony, congratulations
Double
on all
or
your
nothing. What's your
success.
Tony.
Hey! You don't get 8, Mr. Hero.
No, you only get 4. All right.
I'm on hold.
I'm going to put Tony on hold. Congratulations on all your Lakewood success. What the hell? Yeah, well, you're the proctor of it. Folks, go on over to Mr. Hero. You can get 2 different sizes of family packs. Choose any 4 sandwiches, 4 sidekicks, and a 2-liter and enjoy. Order online at MrHero.com. A question of likability and too much football, not enough football. Coming up in 5 on The Fan. Folks, the Ohio
Listen to The Fan Rewind weeknights 11 to midnight. All the best segments from all our shows, and can always listen on the Odyssey app. Headline sports news every 20 minutes right here on 92.3 The Fan. From the University Hospital Sports Desk, I'm Jeff Thomas.
Baseball, basketball, and the Browns. It's why you need the afternoon drive. Weekdays starting at 2.
Lima asked me a weird-ass question about Ryan Day yesterday, and it stuck in my head like an earworm, and I want to discuss it at 8:22. It has to happen. I'm sorry. It has to happen. It is the wildest Ryan Day question I think I've ever been asked, and that's saying something, because you blew my doors off yesterday on the phone, and I'm like, I got it. I know we got Game 5 tonight. I know there's Taylor Green arguments to have. I know we just had a wild-ass... The 2-second trivia, I'm sorry. Lima has a question and a conundrum for everybody out there that you guys are going to love coming up at 8:22, and it concerns Ryan Day of the Ohio State Buckeyes. And I got to discuss it in 20 minutes. So Jeff was reporting in the updates, it seems that the Steelers may end up playing against the Saints.
I saw Jerry Dulac write that yesterday.
Okay.
In Pittsburgh, yeah.
My thing is,
you go to the Pittsburgh or you go to the Steelers site or the Saints site. You don't see that. The NFL has not said that yet, but
no.
Yeah.
So are we out of the running for international games?
That's what I've been led to believe, just by looking at the people paying close attention to it.
And two, does anybody care?
No, I do not care.
Nobody cares. Nobody cares.
The only thing I like about a lot of these games is that you can get the Browns game out of the way by very early in the morning.
Well, wait a minute. What if they're a good football team? Don't you want to savor it?
Well, if anything, though.
No, because when they win on Thursdays, that's the best
that's
weekend.
The best.
Yeah. That is
right.
awesome.
It's
you're
even
right.
Better.
Yeah, you're right. When they win at 9 o'clock in the morning, and what time's those games usually end? 12:30, 12:45?
Yeah.
Oh, my God. A full slate of Sunday right there, and you've already won. Oh.
And pressure's on Pittsburgh, Baltimore, Cincinnati.
Let's just play Eastern time zone games
yes.
They'll do it that way. I mean, my God. I don't think anybody... this is the weird thing about this, is the league makes such a big deal about expanding the game, the international game, and they want us all to, cheer for the game to be expanded across the world. And I'm sure it's probably better for the game that it is across the world, but we just think about it in the terms of our favorite teams. It's become a lot of, different things where... You remember when LeBron was with the Cavs... And we talked about the Olympics. I'm like, he's already won a gold medal. Do I want my team to win a championship? We've talked about that.
Yeah, do we want our guys, stressing out over that stuff?
And 49ers fans, they don't want their team playing in Australia on a Thursday to start the season when Kyle Shanahan's openly against it and says they're doing it. They're forced to do it.
Especially if it's next to a power plant where they're going to sustain more injuries.
Okay, there's a time for this type of thing, and it's called 9:45 on Friday, not now. That has not been confirmed.
No.
Not that I treat it the same way as I do the Madden curse. I just need to do my own research, and I need to go a little bit deeper. I don't think anybody, the general fans, it's the same thing as the Saturday games with the late, there will be now 6 weeks of Saturday NFL games. And I have to ask, who asked for it? Other than companies, who asked for it? Because Saturday... You've always wondered where are the numbers? Where do they get these numbers from all this stuff? And I thought, I think we're just looking at it where football is a massive fan base, and the Browns, whether people are like it or not, or think they deserve it or not, have a bigger fan base than baseball or football. And so when the Browns play, that might make up for it. And then when they're not playing, another fan base is going to step in there. So if they already have a higher fan base, these are record-breaking numbers, and I understand that the numbers move a little bit because of how they're estimated now. But just because they're bigger numbers still doesn't change the amount of interest that's generally there. I just think, I don't really care about Australia football. I don't really care about football in Brazil. London, you know what? When it first got brought up was kind of a cool concept. I don't really care about London football. I don't care about games in Germany or Paris. I just want my favorite team to be as comfortable as possible. It's already hard enough if you have to travel to Seattle for a game because of the time difference and everything that goes into it. We found that out the hard way in 2019 against San Francisco when, for whatever reason, John wanted to go out there on Sunday before a Monday night game. Like there was guys that were basically asleep on the bus on the way there, and they went out and they got their asses kicked and played like garbage, and there was dissension in the ranks. Like, it's hard enough to play 3 hours away. I can't imagine being a contending team and having to play all over the globe to do what? Like, I don't think it makes the fan in Canton, Ohio happy. If they're a Steeler fan, whatever. It doesn't make the fan in Youngstown, Ohio, or Western Pennsylvania thrilled that his team, and maybe he gets to take a trip. But I don't understand why a trip to Paris would constitute, or the Steelers would constitute a trip to Paris. But I know it happens. I understand it happens. But if I'm making a trip to Paris, I'm making a trip to Paris. I don't know if I want I've told you this before, and I think I've said this before in the air. There is a lot of pensive feelings that I get going into a Browns game. I get very worked up the morning of a Browns game. Do I want that when I'm in Europe?
Right, on your vacation.
On my vacation?
Yeah, and obviously, like, I
don't want that.
The partners and the wealthy season ticket holders, they can carve this out. They can hand the duties in their shop, to the second in command for a few days. Like, it's a lot easier for them to be able to do this than the average fan, where this is going to cost an arm and a leg. And then if they lose, it totally taints the trip. So, I don't even factor these in. We talked about primetime games.
Well, wait a minute. Hold on. Does it totally taint the trip?
Yeah, if your team loses and you're a life or death Browns fan.
Hold on. Yeah, okay, I'm a life or death Browns fan.
Do we not say they ruin our weekends when we're here?
It ruins the weekend, but I don't think I'm going to be a stick in the mud. Like, say the Browns are close to 500 this year. All right, maybe if they lose, but in the meantime, between what happens, I don't know, man. There's a lot to see in London, England. There's a lot to see in England in general. I'm just pointing it out as an example. If I'm going on a trip and the Browns happen to be about there and they lose, I don't know if that's going to ruin my whole trip. I don't think I'm going to be lamenting about it for years to come.
I guess it just depends on, your level of diehard.
So now I'm not a diehard fan.
Well, it depends. Are you a
Interesting
life or death Browns fan? Because I think if we got a lot of wives to call up the show to talk about their husbands and to talk about the level, the state of affairs in that home when the Browns win and when the Browns lose, I think they would be able to tell you whether or not life is a little different at home.
Don't you have to think about your responsibilities as a husband?
I think that goes out the window for so many guys on game day.
If you have another week, I'm supposed to pout and moan for the next 3 days because the Browns lost when I have another week in Europe with my wife? So I'm going to carry around the frowns on my face for 3 days and not get picked back up until Wednesday?
You're speaking rationally. Like but fans, what percentage of fans are rational?
Then somebody's got to step in and say, we're not going to Europe for the Browns or Steelers or for anybody to go watch a football team play. We're going to Europe to go to Europe, and that's it. And we're not going to involve any of this other stuff. Plus, I can see an NFL football game. I've seen plenty of football games right here in my own backyard. I've seen plenty of that. If I'm going over there, I'm going to probably watch soccer or do something else.
And then let's also add on to it. Likely, what's a fan also doing when they're overseas, especially like in London, where you can bet like at your seat during the game on what the next play is? What are you probably also doing if you're there? I'm on vacation. I got money to spend. You're probably wagering. And if you're wagering, you're not going to wager against your team for the hedge. So it's going to be a double whammy. Not only is your team losing, you're losing a lot of money. You're losing that spending money.
Because I thought if we were going to Europe with you, I figured London, England would turn to the Alps real quick.
The Alps, yeah.
Yeah, or the Andes, whatever you wanted to do.
How far is Amsterdam?
Close enough. Let's call it even.
Probably be back before kickoff.
I just don't think it's something that a general fan. I think it's something that the NFL does, and it's another thing that I'm not going to. Businesses, the NFL making money. It's better for our bottom line as sports talk hosts. I get that, but it's another thing where you're doing this, and we all know it's there. And I'm going, when's the last time that a sport has done something for the general fan? Like baseball. Baseball's probably the last one to do it, where you've made the game much more consumable with the rule changes that you've put in. I can start a game and finish a game and go to bed and wake up at 3 a.m. and not feel exhausted. Not feel exhausted every single day. They've done that. They've made it better. There's an end time. Attendance has trickled up a little bit with a lot of places. You know when you're getting out now. That's been more fan-friendly. But, like, expanding the college basketball playoff. Why? No one's asking for it. Expanded to 24 teams in the college football playoff. No one's asking for it. No fan is begging for it. Maybe a Notre Dame fan, but nobody's begging for it. Maybe that. Playing in Europe. Who is pounding the table in Cleveland, Ohio?
No, I don't. And you know,
it's
do
all
you
been
care?
this stuff.
Let me ask you this, because I've said, all right, if the game is exposed to more areas of the world, like I would imagine you could get really good NFL players. We always hear these stories of somebody who didn't play in high school, and then wow, look, they're in the NFL. Like how many? We've seen it in the NBA. So why couldn't there be NFL players that pop up all over the world? But do you care? Do you care in Cleveland, Ohio, if this leads, this expansion and growth of the sport leads to players from every continent taking over? Well, really, ultimately, what are they doing? They're just taking jobs from the kids that would have a chance to make their way up
ultimately
here from Glenville.
I think
what I mean?
we have our own passions. I don't think a person who grows up in London, I just don't think they care as much about the NFL. Like here, when a kid, yours right as rain. When a kid, if you're from Cleveland, and you're watching the draft, and a kid who goes through, you could have never stepped foot on Glenville's campus. You could have only seen Glenville highlights on Fox 8 Friday Night Touchdown. Shameless plug, but it's true. You could have only seen interviews with Ted Ginn and known that that's a good program. You feel like you're a part of it. There's a guy from our area doing it, and he's going. And you know what? Even though he didn't end up with the Browns, I'm going to pay attention to this guy. There's always that good fit. A lot of communities, obviously in America, get to do that, and it's really cool when they get to do it. I don't think we aspire to it. I don't think they grow up in London wanting to play in the NFL or Paris wanting to play in the NFL or in one of these other places. They have their own sports that they're passionate about. I don't think there's going to be enough of those kids who end up being grown adults playing in the NFL to change all that. I do think in certain other sports it has changed. They grow up playing basketball in Europe. They grow up playing baseball in the Dominican and in Cuba and all these other places in Latin America and in Japan. They grew up playing baseball there. So there is a shared type of thing. With football, I mean, we've talked about the socioeconomics of it a million times over on the podcast on Tuesdays and Thursdays. You don't really grow up wanting to do it the way it is. And hell, half the guys I know that have ever played football in Europe, not just like NFL Europe, they're Americans. So they're just going over to Europe to play some European football because the Arena League died or they can't hack it in Canada or whatever, and they're looking for any opportunity they can. So I know that, we're trying to grow the game. Yeah, you probably should try to make an effort to grow the game. It's not about not growing the game, but it's still this thing of I'm looking around for anybody who thinks that this is just this tremendous thing. I don't get it. That's where I stand on it. But if it means that I can watch a Browns game at 9:30 and they win and I can enjoy my day a little bit longer, fine.
Because we're up anyway.
That's the positive I'll take from it. I'll be up early. If they win the game, I'll be more excited. Coming up at 9 o'clock, Brian Geltzeiler going to join us on the show. We got to get back to the Cavs, and we will. Is the real rival of the Cavs looking them in the mirror? But coming up in 5 minutes, a wild question, an itch I have to scratch about what the hell Ryan Day would do. Ken Carman, Anthony Lima, live on The Fan.
Anthony Lima for
in Game 6 Friday night on the road at Minnesota. Get all the latest Browns content filtered right to your phone during this offseason by following the Browns playlist and 92.3 The Fan on the Odyssey app. Headline sports news every 20 minutes right here on 92.3 The Fan. From the University Hospital Sports Desk, I'm Jeff Thomas.
Memorable Cavs conversation brought to you by the fine folks at Surfside Hard Iced Tea to remind you to please enjoy that Surfside Hard Iced Tea responsibly. And more on the Cavs coming up here in a moment, whether or not the real rival is staring them right in the mirror. Lima has a hell of a question that he asked me yesterday, and I want him to ask all of you about what Ryan Day is supposed to do coming up soon. Go right on ahead.
So for those that don't know, Ryan Day's son committed to another Big 10 team, Big 18 team over the weekend, and it was Northwestern. And I don't know anything about the level of skill for his son. I imagine if he was really good, there's no chance he wouldn't be at Ohio State.
Mm-hmm.
But maybe he just wants to have his own opportunity, get out from underneath the shadows of his dad, whatever. But he's going to Northwestern. Chip Kelly, offensive coordinator there, right? So Chip Kelly was obviously in the NFL last year and with Ryan Day.
They have a close relationship. I mean, they have a close relationship. They've been around each other for a long time.
So let's say he ends up over the next few years becoming the starting quarterback of Northwestern.
Mm-hmm.
And that's his opportunity. He can't just go to Ohio State because the opportunity is there at Northwestern. He stays there. And Northwestern happens to be on the schedule for Ohio State.
Uh-huh.
And Northwestern, let's say they're putting a formidable year together where they're not great, but they have a chance to scare some of the Titans, for maybe a half. And then you never know how a football game unfolds. Maybe you get taken lightly. What is that week in the lead up to going up against your son in a sport where the coaches always say, you got to kill the quarterback. You got to go after him. You got to do whatever it takes. If you got to get a little dirty in the pile, you do whatever it takes. What is Ryan Day? Is he abstaining from that week of game prep? What is he doing? Because it's his son. How does that work? And I'm imagining they have a good relationship in all this for the sake of this discussion.
Your job's your job. Is it not your job? Okay, so if it's your job, then you're going to figure out ways to...
Like, are you sitting there in the meetings that week, offensive meeting, the defensive meetings?
This is bizarre.
Are you pointing with the telestrator, or are you sitting there?
I understand.
Pointing out all the weaknesses and
you are.
This
yes.
kid sucks. He cannot see the
You're
field.
You're not saying he sucks.
He cannot see the field. He is inept. I've been in meetings with him. He does not grasp these concepts. We can get to him.
Even if you felt the quarterback sucks, I don't know if I would say it. I would still try to, because you don't want them going out there half-assing it, thinking that the quarterback just sucks and you'll go out there and win.
Guys, he's at Northwestern. We would have recruited him if he were good enough to play at Ohio State.
That's not a nice thing to say about your own son.
But, Coach, it's
He's
your
had
son.
a deep-seated fear of clowns since he was 7. Laugh like Pennywise when you tackle him.
And conversely,
kiss me, fat boy.
Conversely, does Ryan Day's kid that week start doing Lou Holtz impressions and making fun of his dad for not winning the national championship with the expensive roster that he had last year?
Well, okay, so I don't think about it.
Well, how does that work?
I hope my phone lights up with some coaches right now, but it's 8:30, so they might be in school. Usually when it comes to coaches, from knowing them, this is football guys speak. Maybe it's different in basketball. Maybe it's different in baseball. But knowing coaches, they usually don't get really involved with the players. Now, this is his son we're talking about here. So it's not like every week it's talking about go after so-and-so, like let's make this guy our personal. The players may do that. The players may feel that way. I don't think the coaches do. Now, coach to coach, there is personal rivalries out there. Well, yeah, certain coaches really hate each other, and they're going to try to run it up on each other. Now, I don't know if that's going to happen. And plus, they never really play that great out at Northwestern anyway. So I don't know where the future schedule is, but if it's on the road at Northwestern's new building or at Wrigley Field or wherever, they just always seem to slog around at Northwestern and pull out a win. It's just like, let's get out of here.
They really have so many.
Exactly. So I don't know if they should go in so cocky and arrogant and confident, but I think he would approach his son as if he would any other quarterback. It is a bizarre situation. You're going to have to answer a lot of bizarre questions, but you would face your son as you would any other quarterback. Unless you're in that one schedule. And again, I got to see how the schedules. If he ends up playing well at Northwestern, he ends up playing early,
then
maybe you bring him back.
Yeah, then
maybe you bring him in.
Like that, I understand. I'm saying that this is so bizarre because, You can't fathom a world where Dion would have coached against Shedeur.
No.
I can't fathom that world.
No.
And, in college basketball, growing up, I remember Tubby Smith, his son. He had his son on the team, Saul Smith, the Kruger, like McDermott. These guys.
Buddy
Boeheim. These guys, their kids play for the team. And then we debate if that's nepotism or whatever. In this case, coaching against. It's just so bizarre.
It is. It's something I desperately want to see happen.
Right. Be amazing.
Because I want to know. Like, obviously, he loves his children. He loves his son. Ryan Day's a really good football coach. Obviously, there's criticisms. There's criticisms of every football coach. But I thought it was the right thing because it's like, okay, he can play at Northwestern early. He may not be able to play at Ohio State early, and that's fine for everybody to be honest with each other and recognize that. Now, maybe he strikes lightning and he ends up being a Will Howard type of player and ends up back at Ohio State with his dad or something like that. But I think it was probably the right idea to go against the nepotism thing, considering that there's been a lot of guys in the past who have put their kids on the team, on the squad, and try to get them some playing time. And, I'm kind of talking about one program in particular, and they start kicking the ball towards that guy in special teams, and you got to take your own son off the field in front of God and everybody. But I don't think his son's like that. His son may be a mid-level Big Ten recruit like Northwestern is. It's not Purdue. It's better than Purdue. It's Northwestern. Good school, good everything. And if he ends up doing well there, fine. And I think it's a great precursor for, good God, could you imagine if you ended up starting your own son against a place like Michigan? You know the pressure that's with you as an Ohio State head coach. I can't imagine trying to put that on your son. It's probably a better idea to do so. But I think you just got to approach it like as best you can. You can't do it, but you would approach it like it's any other week. Like, we're going against this quarterback. He has strengths. He has weaknesses. It's exactly how Owen said. You might make a couple of jokes and say he had a bedwetting problem back in the day. You can use that against him if you want to. You can do whatever.
I know his weaknesses.
But you would still go about it because
he was a 3-star recruit.
Okay,
unranked. There are currently 8 quarterbacks on Northwestern's roster.
Yeah, the odds are this is never happening.
Now,
right?
He's not graduating this year. He graduates 2027.
So.
This is a commitment. This is not signed national letter.
He could end up.
Yeah, he might not even.
Might end backing out
on this.
So,
but if he has a really good year this year, then
apparently just got a bunch of offers, including Clemson and Virginia Tech.
I'd go to Northwestern.
So, also, what's an interesting part of this too?
Made the right call.
Like, he just got one from Iowa State.
Oh,
go to
Didn't
Northwestern.
Get one before.
I'd go to Northwestern. He made the right call.
Yeah, I just don't know.
Uh-oh.
Like, obviously in high school,
Penn State, Ohio State don't play each other this year.
In high school, if you're a coach, you have a kid, you're coaching your kid. What examples do we have of coaches going up against their kids on another team at any level?
You've seen coaches coach against their sons, like the Bowdens.
Baseball, didn't Felipe Alou and Moises Alou probably go against each other in some sort of...
Probably at some point, you'd imagine, right?
They were around forever and on several different rosters.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a pretty legendary baseball family. That's a hell of a pool you just had right there. That was excellent, but I can't...
Yeah, football...
I'm sure I'm missing something that's so obvious, and I can't think about it right now. But I thought about the coaches. I don't know if I've ever seen a scenario where you've had to prepare for your own son.
Yeah, and it's football is different, too, in a game plan. And basketball, that the ebbs and flows of the game, maybe, tendencies and stuff, but it's not the same as like, hey, I would like you all to go out and physically harm my child.
God, I hope this happens.
Right.
I wish nothing but the best for this kid now. I didn't wish him ill before, but now I have a vested interest because it's like, well, I think Ohio State would win. I would expect Ohio State to win, but I want the story. I want to see, because I've never seen anything like this, and I would want to see something like it. You asked me one of the greatest questions I think I've ever been asked, because it would be a hell of a thing to see him have to get ready for him. Who is are the Cavs rivals with the Pistons right now?
I don't know if it's risen to that level.
Is the Cavs right? Because some people disagree with me. I said, man, it doesn't feel like this is the rivalry like it was in the mid-2000s, late 2000s.
The JB thing has a chance to become bigger.
Twitter reactions brought to you by, social media reactions brought to you by.
Ivan Jewelers, Cleveland's premier jewelry store.
Somebody had answered me, and they said, they feel that JB is a rival to Cavs fans. I don't feel he's the type of rival, because it's not like if he ends up being there for years and years and years, maybe it's a rival, but I just think coaches are so quickly moved on from in the NBA, with the exception of a very certain few anymore. I think they're so quickly moved on from. I don't see him as a rival the way I would somebody else. Like if Kenny Atkinson ends up coaching here for 10 years and JB ends up coaching there for 10 years, maybe there's a rivalry.
But it's the same roster essentially that he had, with the exception of James Harden, right? If it was a different roster, if it was 4 or 5 years removed from him being, it's 2 seasons. Right?
That's true.
I mean, there's a lot of, that's where I go to. I think the Jared Allen thing with the ribs or whatever, not taking the shot. I think that's a deal that makes that kind of personal.
But it hasn't
things,
even,
right?
if you notice, there hasn't been a war of words.
Right.
The only war of words has been about Donovan complaining to the officials and then JB complaining to the officials. But Donovan did it in the nicest way possible. And honestly, JB did it in a responsible manner too. It's what you do after the game when you feel like you're not getting the whistle.
I think by and large, Cavs fans could understand because they know what JB does, and they also know that, the fouls were ridiculous in Detroit. And if you were a Pistons fan, I think any Cavs fan would understand, it definitely went our way here in Cleveland. I think that's part of the reason why people are not as excited, because I don't know if they know what they're going to see tonight when it comes to the fouls being called. That's beside the point. I just don't think that they're the type of rival that we've seen before. I think our rival is ourselves in the mirror. I think a lot more people are worried about the Cavs and what the Cavs are going to do and think the Cavs are going to beat themselves rather than losing to the Pistons. I think it'd end up that way in the next round if the Cavs win this series, and I think if they win tonight, they win the series. I think it'd end up that way against the Knicks because I think not a lot of people, there was this feeling, and I was one of the ones perpetuating it, that Boston was the team. That if you were to get through big bad Boston, things might be easier. Just getting to the NBA Finals, and you might have to deal with Oklahoma City, right? Here we got San Antonio, serious basketball team. People talk about Wemby. They were not talking about their chances before. Now it looks like they're talking about their chances against Oklahoma City. Before it was just Oklahoma City. They did what they were supposed to do. Before it was just Boston. Boston did not do what they were supposed to do. The Knicks kind of come out of anywhere. So now I think it feels to a Cavs fan, your rival is yourself. We're not talking about legacies with the Pistons. Not yet, and we're far from it. Cade Cunningham's only a couple of years into his career. Donovan, you said it yourself, Tone, legacy-defining series. James Harden, legacy-defining series. And for Evan Mobley, frankly, if they don't win this series, what are people talking about? They're talking about moving on from him and going after Giannis, who has his own set of circumstances. So would that not be, in Cleveland, a legacy-defining series? Less so because he's only 24 compared to the other guy that's closing in on 30 and the other guy who's 36. But we're still talking about legacies that are involved here.
The Donovan
Our concerns
part,
with the Cavs, not as much as the Pistons.
Yeah, the Donovan part of this is going to be even more exaggerated, and that's why he's so desperately needed to have one of those all-time performances like he did last game in the second half with all those points, because think about where we're at. There's only 6 teams playing left in the sport, right? Mm-hmm. So everybody's going to sit back and watch tonight. This is it. It's the only game in town, and we've brushed aside the Joel Embiid. It's over, right? We're done. They're done piling on Joel Embiid because they think it's over. He's not going to be healthy again. James Harden, pretty much over. I mean, he's still playing. We all understand the level that he's at now, and I think people have just kind of moved on from that conversation. They just accepted that he's just not good enough, to be like the best player on a team or the second best player. But here we are, Donovan is in the thick of it. They're not going to write damning pieces on Cade Cunningham if they lose. They're going to be like, he's only 23, whatever. Donovan is the one where inside the NBA will devote extensive time to talking about whether or not he's overrated, underrated.
Yes, you're absolutely right.
That's where we're at. And the other guys are all injured or out. So Donovan is the one we're going to talk about, especially with the Wemby's young. Oklahoma City, they still have a bunch of young guys. And SGA, it's kind of not even debatable. He's just great. Mm-hmm. Who are they going to talk about? So this is the first time in Donovan's career where he's going to be front and center in the legacy discussion. And tonight's a pretty big game for him to follow up. If he has another monster game, it'll change. The conversation will change. If he just puts the team on his back tonight and does it on the road and has one of those quintessential superstar performances, he has the opportunity to change the dialogue every single game.
And the first time around, I'm bringing this up even with LeBron's old teams. The second time around, too, when he came here. When it was the first time around, it was Kevin Garnett. How are you going to get over that team? I hated the Celtics, hated that version of the Celtics, hated them. A lot of respect as a basketball player, obviously, but hated them. Hated those Pistons teams. Absolutely despised those Piston teams. The second time around, hated Atlanta, hated Al Horford, have a lot of respect for him, hated him as a fan, hated a lot of the teams that they were playing against, and now it does feel like everything's internal. Like Cavs fans don't seem to be angry at the Pistons. It's like, what are you doing to maximize this opportunity? What are the Cavs' problems first before I go ripping on these other teams? And I think that might actually be the healthy way to look at it, considering, hey, this was put together to get past the second round of the playoffs. This was put together to get past the Detroit Pistons and not letting them get in your way. Because the Pistons end up winning this series. I mean, you got to look at yourself and go, is this the real thing, or is something need to be blown up here? And that's the way people are going to look at this. So it has to be Cavs-centric first. Coming up in 5 minutes, if you're not feeling confident about the Cavs, we have something that you should hear that I think is going to change that. That's in 5 minutes. Brian Geltzeiler, 9 o'clock, SiriusXM NBA Radio. Is it career-defining for a lot of these Cavs coming up in this series? Ken Carman, Anthony Lima, live on The Fan.
Woo! Mayapple Mike, Honeydew Tomato here, and Honeydew, we have some.
92.3 The Fan and see if our hosts make your reaction a part of our shows. Powered by Scheiben Jewelers, Cleveland's premier jewelry store.
Your mornings are about to change with 92.3 The Fan. We're going local at 5 a.m. It's the Fan Warm-Up Show with Jeff Thomas. All the latest from the night before in Cleveland sports and getting your day started even earlier. We are Sports Radio 92.3 The Fan.
Tone, our good buddy Jared Luganbill, a football scout, recruiter. He's down. I think he's down in the. I want to make sure I'm saying the southwest area. Like I think he's between Columbus and Cincinnati.
A lot of talent.
I know
down
he
there.
scouts a lot of those guys, and there's a lot of things he puts together. I respect the hell out of him. This is a hell of a take. He wrote hot take to us. Ryan Day will never coach against RJ because he will leave for the NFL after the 2026 season.
And then to that I said,
I don't know what you said.
welcome home, Mike Vrabel. We're on the same page here. Mike Vrabel's not going to be the head coach of the Patriots this year, right?
Yes, he's going to be the head coach of the Patriots.
Whoa, wait. You think he will?
Yeah.
Oh, no, I do not. I'd put money on it. I would wager
Well,
that
I'm
he
not
will
going to wager money out with you on the air, but
Let's do a wacky bet on Mike Vrabel.
Let's do a wacky radio bet about Mike Vrabel. Let's get our nipples pierced like Pony.
I think you have to set in a hot tub together for
with interlocking fingers.
You really don't think he's going to be the coach of the Patriots this season?
Kenny, they had another video come out yesterday.
Yeah, I know.
There are people.
Wait, it was yesterday? I thought it was over the weekend.
No. Yesterday, TMZ had another one.
What was it this time?
So the whole thing is.
Wait a minute.
Owen, pull it up. You can find it. The whole thing is that clearly there are people heavily invested in making this as ugly as possible for him, and the uglier it looks for him.
What are we doing?
this one's bad.
The more likely.
Oh, wait, that's AI. Never mind.
Yeah, right. There probably is. That's the other thing. You don't even know. There's probably more AI stuff coming out.
The only one I saw was Diana Orsini and her husband on Mother's Day.
Well, by the way, people have done have done the forensics on this. They're like, wait a second. The hat is such that he can show his whole face. The ring is in it. These guys are never publicly. There are no photos of these two in public, barely. And yet, all of a sudden, this looks very orchestrated and calculated.
So, do you think Ohio State would take Mike Vrabel back, considering all this, if he had to resign as the head coach of the Patriots?
100% they would, yes.
So then why would the Patriots let him go then?
Because we're just in the moment right now where it is going to be a nonstop distraction.
I think this is something you want instead of something that's going to happen. I think he's going to coach the Patriots.
You don't think this could get to a point? There's nothing that can happen from here on out that this could tip over?
What more video could there be? Unless there's you-know-what tape out there, which God forbid, but what more could there be? I mean, it's getting to the point where some people are going to be like, yeah, I was at a gas station in Secaucus, and they ended up being there she was buying a 4-pack of Reese. Like, I almost said Mr. Hero, but you can't buy that.
Loco.
Yeah. She was buying a 4 Loco there at the racetrack in Secaucus. That's like, what more could there be? Like, yeah, this is tawdry, and it's not good, and I don't condone it, but he's a football coach, and they're a football team. They got their own things. They're only interested in winning. Now, this could be his last year if the wheels come off this season, because there's always a possibility they could have a Super Bowl hangover. If they don't make the playoffs, it's going to be a big conversation. But he's going to coach this year. He's going to coach the Patriots this year. He ain't going anywhere.
I disagree. I think there will continue to be leaks because pretty clearly they've had something going on for the better part. Maybe you got to hit the button, Owen, just to be sure. But
it seems that they've had a pretty tasty relationship for a while.
For a long time. And that obviously, especially based on some of the stuff that came out around the owners' meetings, like this was not shocking to anybody.
Okay.
How many people knew about this?
I'm getting texts. I have no idea. Like, God, I'm only going on what I know. If there's anything more serious, maybe you'll end up being right. But I just look at it for what it is. I go, if this is all there is, if there was a tawdry relationship, I don't condone it. They've already been through. They gave him a standing ovation at a season ticket ceremony. Or like a big conference of season ticket holders like 2 weeks ago. They gave the guy a standing ovation.
Well, they put the two teams in the Super Bowl in prime time to start the season the next year. If the NFL doesn't, they just bury the Patriots at 1 o'clock on Sunday to start the season.
Damn. All right, if you have been, that's a hell of a take. Did you say that last week? I wish I would have been there for that. All right, if you've been feeling not very confident about the Cavs going into this game, because I think if they win tonight, they win the series. I'll bring it up with Brian Geltzeiler at 9. I got something that's going to make you feel hopefully a little bit better about things. Here is Chandler Parsons on Run It Back on FanDuel TV. Says the Cavaliers could be dangerous.
It's just an unbelievable, obviously historic second half. The fact that when his team needed him the most, when, season on the line, nice hands, down 2-1, and he kind of puts the team on his back 39.5 after struggling a little bit in the first half, was outrageous. And this is the format for them to be really good. This is why they went and got a James Harden, who's this consistent, solid, didn't turn the ball over. I think he only had 2 turnovers, 24-11, was efficient, got to the free throw line. This version of the Cavs offense is so dangerous and so potent. But Donovan Mitchell, man, he was unbelievable in the second half. And I always wonder, when teams go on runs like this, Lou, 22-0, or the Lakers last night.
25-0 run.
How do you not get to the free throw line for Cade Cunningham? Or how do you not do something to try?
Because the other team is still competing.
It's crazy. They were on an absolute heater. And again, shout out Donovan Mitchell. His team needed the most, and he delivered in a big, big way.
Boy, he's right. You had to find a way to get to the line, and you had to attack the rim, and they did not do that.
And that body language, the body language at Detroit. We're always talking about the Cavs' body language. Let's look at Detroit. You can't tell me.
I thought they threw. It looked like they threw in the towel. We're just let's go to Game 5.
Yeah, and I know they made a late when we had our bench guys in. So credit to them, and that was a little awkward for Kenny to have to put his guys out again. But also notice, Duncan Robinson has been added to the Pistons injury report. So pay attention to that. Karis LeVert was their whole team in the first half. He has that heel issue, and he's back on the injury report. So it's just something to pay attention to, because Duncan Robinson. We have committed a lot of attention to him, and we took him successfully out of that game. Mm-hmm. But he has added gravity. I think the gravity stats, he's been one of the top 5 in the playoffs since they've been tracking it on NBA.com. So you take him out of there, and let's say Karis LeVert doesn't play. Where is the offense coming from, especially when Evan Mobley...
87 points a night from Cade Cunningham.
Right, especially since Evan Mobley was everywhere. It looked like he had 3 arms and 15 fingers in that game.
It is another reason, not that their body language or anything like that, that's not a reason. It's just you are the better basketball team. And I think if you win on the road, you've taken away that home court advantage. In any other year, this sounds like the dumbest thing ever said. If you're able to win on the road. But obviously, it's been a problem for them. They've been at times a completely different basketball team on the road in the postseason in Toronto and a little bit there in Detroit. It looked like they were a bit shell-shocked in Detroit. Even in Game 2, which they had a chance to win that basketball game, I felt like they were a bit shell-shocked. They win this game, I just think that confidence takes back over. And I think Chandler Parsons is right. There's been so many situations where Philadelphia, we thought that they were dead in the water. They get Joel Embiid back for a little bit, and they end up being a team that you have to reckon with. The Knicks caught fire. Look, Knicks fans are more confident than they've been in years.
Unbelievable.
So the Cavaliers, yes, it is possible to go over there to Detroit tonight, and I don't want to have to throw it all on Donovan Mitchell's back, but if whatever happens, that's fine for you to catch fire, win this game, and then I think I come in here tomorrow and I say the series is over. If they lose, we'll find out what I say tomorrow. But I think if they win tonight,
you asked
this
me
series
earlier.
is done.
You asked me earlier. Well, Lima, fine. You're the one.
And I think they win in 6 games, by the way. It's not like some 7-game series. I think they win the next game.
But you said hang him over the fence. You're the one that wanted to get everybody charged up. And I guess it's just one of those, I got to see how it looks before I just say, hey, if they win tonight, the series is over. I do want to see, will they continue to create the separation between them and the Pistons? Remember, they had a 17-point lead in Game 3. And then the last game, they went on that incredible run, and Donovan looked on another level than anybody in the series, and maybe even almost in the playoffs, although Wemby was pretty spectacular last night. So let's see how it looks tonight.
One of our favorite NBA guests, Brian Geltzeiler, SiriusXM NBA Radio. He joins us coming up in 5 minutes. Is it a career-defining series for the Cavs? 3 of those players, I think you make the argument that it absolutely is. And will he agree with me? If Cavs win tonight, they win in 6, and it's a 4-game sweep after the opening 2 games for the Cavaliers over the Detroit Pistons. Or am I just being an excitable boy again? Brian Geltzeiler will join us and answer that question in 5 minutes on The Fan. Friends, Ken Carman here for the wonderful people with Window Nation. Right now,
today's headline segments. Headline sports news every 20 minutes right here on 92.3 The Fan. From the University Hospital Sports Desk, I'm Jeff Thomas.
Headline sports news every 20 minutes from the University Hospital's Sports Desk. We are Sports Radio 92.3 The Fan.
Looking for a winner, 92.3 The Fan. Looking for a winner, beer, B-E-E-R, beer. Enter the code word beer at 923thefan.com before 10 a.m. It's your chance to win a 4-pack of fun packs to the Berea National Rib Cook-Off and Beer Fest Memorial Day weekend at the Cuyahoga County Fairgrounds, which includes 4 admission tickets, rib samplers, and bottles of water. Get details at BereaRib.com. That's BereaRib.com. It's all brought to you by the Berea Rib National Rib Cook-Off and Beer Fest and Sports Radio 92.3 The Fan. Enter the word beer, B-E-E-R, at 923thefan.com before 10 a.m. Or as Chris Matthews used to say, Cuyahoga County. Welcome on into the show. Let's play hardball. Brian Geltzeiler joins us right now, SiriusXM NBA Radio. Brian, he is on the Wise Heart Right, We Make It Right, call Kyle Wright hotline. Brian, good morning to you.
Good morning. That was easy for you to say. How are you today, all right?
It's been a morning, yeah. Lima was getting into it with listeners about LeBron James coming back and calling them idiots and saying their heads were up their ass. But other than that, things are going well, Brian. I'll get to LeBron coming up here in a bit, I'm sure.
That, Mrs. Lincoln, how was the play, right?
I'll get to LeBron coming up here in a bit. However, I said if the Cavs have not won on the road throughout the postseason, it's only been 2 rounds, but they haven't won on the road. I said if the Cavs win tonight, the series is over. Cavs win in 6. Tell me why I'm right or wrong, Brian.
I think you're right. I just think it's one of those big ifs, and I think that's the Cavs 0-5 on the road here in these playoffs, and they have been a very different team on the road than at home. And I think where it really gets highlighted in a series like this is the physical toughness aspect. The Cavs, that was a weakness last year. It's emerging as a weakness again this year. This is a gritty, grindy team that they're against. It's an extremely physical basketball team. Detroit has to play that way because they just don't shoot the ball well enough on offense to play any other way. And for the Cavs, they get pulled into these half-court, defensive struggle types of games that are really rock fights. And it's not where they're at their best. And that's been an issue for them in this series. But again, you go out and you get a player like James Harden because you understand that at a certain point in time in an important spot in the playoffs, he's going to carry you down the stretch of the game. And he was able to do that in Game 3 and had some very big buckets in the fourth quarter. And then you also understand when you have a superstar the caliber of Donovan Mitchell, there's going to be times, as in Game 4, where he takes the whole thing on his back and carries it, which is what he did in the second half of that game. He was absolutely phenomenal. So, again, they got the performances from their main guys that they need to get, but that doesn't necessarily change what is the big issue for them as they go on the road here in a Game 5, which is the physicality aspect. And listen, I'm sure a lot of your listeners feel the same way. Evan Mobley is, it's one of those things where it reminds me of the old Brady Bunch episodes, guys. Like, he fits the suit. Well, yeah, but can he walk the walk? Remember Greg Brady? They tried to make him a rock star because he fit the suit. Evan Mobley looks the part, but when push comes to shove, he doesn't always play the part. And in a series like this, his lack of physical toughness gets absolutely highlighted. Listen, Jared Allen is who he is, and he's always going to be what he is right now. And there's going to be times that guys like Duran and Isaiah Stewart push him around. You need Evan Mobley at this stage to make a jump when it comes to strength and physicality. I just don't know that it's there.
Why are they able to avoid that at home then? I mean, I think a lot of Cavs fans may agree with you. I mean, I got my little nitpicky things here, but, whatever. I mean, why are they able to avoid that type of game then at home instead of on the road and they get sucked into it?
I don't know that they're totally avoiding it at home. I think at home what's happened to them here is that they've gotten some fantastic performances from the guys that are supposed to give them fantastic performances. Schroeder flat out won them a game in the first round in the Toronto series. They've had now 2 games here at home that they've won. One where it was a very close game and James Harden made some big shots late, and then Donovan Mitchell carried them. So I don't know that it's not an issue at home. I just think what they've been able to get at home is better, more efficient guard play. and having their guys that have the capability to carry the entire basketball team offensively, being able to do that in the fourth quarter of these games. I don't necessarily think that the toughness thing hasn't reared its ugly head at home. I think it has. I think that's why some of these games have been, frankly, closer than they should be. But again, when you have these, extraordinary shot makers that have done it for years upon years upon years, and I know James Harden's, his playoff record is very, very sketchy. And up until Game 3, the Cavs fans turn around and say, "Why the hell we trade for this guy?" Because he's coming as advertised. Came up big in a game, but you don't need him. The beautiful part about having James Harden here is you don't need him to come up big in every single game. He doesn't have to do that for this team because you have someone like Donovan Mitchell, which shows you that in Game 4. But I think the toughness thing continues to be a problem at home as well. But I think tonight it gets highlighted a little bit because for Detroit is a classic example of the Hubie Brown role player theory. Their role players, their lesser guys play a whole lot better at home than they do on the road. One other thing I will tell you, and Tobias Harris was a force in that first round series against Orlando for Detroit. He's hurt the Cavs in this series too. And I do think part of a defensive philosophy here has to be we need to focus on shutting down the second scorer. And with the understanding no matter who we put on Cade Cunningham, he's going to get his. But they need to worry a whole lot more. And that'd be an adjustment I would make here going into Game 5 for the Cavs is to what are we going to do to keep Tobias Harris from getting 20? Because to me, that's been the one thing that's been able to put Detroit over the hump here when they've had some times that they've struggled to score. We talked about it, for a while. Why didn't they go get a second scorer at the trade deadline? Well, this is the reason. And I love Tobias Harris. I have all the respect in the world for him. A pro's pro, two-way player. But you're telling me that the Cavs can't unleash something defensively that makes life harder for Tobias Harris? If you can't do that, you don't deserve to go to the next round.
All right, Brian Getzeiler joining us. You mentioned those role players playing better at home, but the bad news is for the Pistons that on the injury report yesterday, I don't think this went unnoticed. All of a sudden, two of their shooters, Karis LeVert was their entire offense in the first half of the last game in Game 4. He's on that report. So is Duncan Robinson, who was putrid in Game 4. Couldn't even get shots off because the Cavs had stepped up, their off-ball defense and physicality. And so it's something to monitor. I will also ask you this, I've seen 4 games. Look, the Cavs, they had, as badly as they played the first 2 games, they were right there in the final 4 minutes of both games, and then Detroit pulled away at home. And then the Cavs had a 17-point lead in Game 3, and in Game 4, during that incredible run where their superstar was just on another level, I do think the further along this series goes, is there a chance the Cavs are figuring stuff out, including Evan Mobley defensively, looking like young KG? I wonder about the body language and all of that on Detroit, the rest of this series, because they look like they were doubting themselves the last 2 games.
I think that's a fair take. And here's what I'll say. First of all, let's start with LeVert. If LeVert's going to be your guy here, that's fool's gold for the Pistons. Because LeVert's going to shoot you out of more games he shoots you in. So that's Karis LeVert for his entire career. So that's not something from a Cavs standpoint that I'd be concerned about at all. You guys understand. You get it with Karis LeVert. The Duncan Robinson thing matters because he has been a difference maker. The fact that he stunk in Game 4, it was a very, very important for the Cavs, but the Cavs played a very big role in that. Because here's the thing about Duncan Robinson. He's a catch-and-shoot guy, but he's also a sneaky good cutter. He can, when you don't pay attention to him off the ball, he's going to backdoor you. He's a really intelligent, intellectual, intuitive type of player. And it's hurt the Cavs. His IQ stuff has hurt the Cavs here up till Game 4. I think for the Cavs, it's very, very important. And again, it kind of plays into my Harris strategy where you need to stay at home on these other guys. You have to go with the theory that Cade isn't going to beat us alone because you're not going to guard Cade effectively. Whatever defensive resources you're going to put on Cade Cunningham, you don't have the player on this team. You don't have an OG Anunoby that you can put on Cade for an entire series and make his life difficult. So now what are you going to do otherwise? It's about shutting down these other guys. And that's a great point about Duncan Robinson in Game 4. He has been an engine for Detroit here, for a team that struggles to score score. His shots have been extremely meaningful, and they're an excellent defensive basketball team, Detroit. They do a wonderful job of hiding the fact that Duncan Robinson can't guard a chair. And so they're able to switch him off ball at times, and it keeps him on the floor. I thought Cleveland did a much better job of exploiting him in Game 4. That's got to carry over to Game 5. But to your point, yes, there is some things the Cavs are starting to figure out. But again, keep one thing in mind about Detroit's energy level for the other guys not named Cade Cunningham and Tobias Harris when they're in their own building. For whatever reason, they seem to respond better. The support around them, the comfort. You can go through all the reasons in the world. But I do think, where the Cavs have been a different team the entire playoffs at home than on the road, Detroit in this series has been a different team at home than on the road.
Ryan Getzheiler joining us on the hotline. The James Harden part of this is so interesting because, if you look, I pointed out his true shooting percentage in the playoffs this year. It's the same as Jalen Brunson's. And Brunson, his is a career high in the playoffs. Not saying Harden's better than him. I'm just saying I found that interesting. Also, Harden in the clutch, if you look at his field goal percentage and clutch shooting in the playoffs, has been some of the best in the NBA this year. Yet we know what the narrative is, and we know how easy it is to trot out the same talking points when it comes to James Harden. What do you think of Harden now that he's been with the Cavs since February? His numbers are all way better than Darius Garland's were, especially in the playoffs, but yet the turnovers. So what are your thoughts on the James Harden experience so far?
He comes as advertised for the most part, but I will tell you this, and he has not been bad, but he's been pretty good, as you just outlined. Kenny Atkinson's role definition for him on this team, I think, has been a very big key. There's a level of expectations for James Harden that he hasn't had at any other location in his career, maybe since he was at OKC early in his career. Right now, he's a secondary player. It's Donovan Mitchell's team, and it's Harden and Mobley behind him, and they're going to need James Harden to hit some big shots. They're also giving him some tough defensive assignments at times. They're leaning into the fact that he's a physically strong player defensively, and it's not Kenny Atkinson has not gone out of his way to hide him, and he's actually held up quite well, I've thought. So, I think the Harden narrative of the playoff failures is going to follow him till he's on an NBA champion. I really do. And maybe he never does get on an NBA champion. But I think we have to look past the narrative and understand that trade was made for this year. Right now, at this moment, it looks successful. But, guys, you understand this. We're in a results-based business. If they lose this series, it will not be deemed successful. Because one thing we do know regarding that trade is that the Cavs are going to get filleted in the future for trading up 10 years, for trading a 26-year-old for a 36-year-old. And, yes, it's better this year. It certainly is. And you can't tell me. Listen, Garland ended up back on the floor and playing very well for the Clippers at the end of the season. And Garland, and one of the reasons they got rid of him was the questionable health issues with him. If he was going to be available. If he was available, I can't imagine him doing much more than Harden. And you can make the case that Harden's elevated level of physicality on both ends of the floor suits this Cavs team better than Darius Garland would have. So I do think, the thinking behind making that deal, you see it on the court. You see the logic of it, and it's working out to a certain extent. The question is it going to be enough that, to get you as far as you want to go with the fact that you just sacrificed 10 years and you're going to look up at Darius Garland in 4 years and watch him killing it for the Clippers, and James Harden's going to be sitting on a couch, sipping some margaritas, watching basketball, and not playing for you anymore. That's the danger in that deal. But right now, you're certainly seeing the logic behind it.
Brian Getzheiler, SiriusXM NBA Radio, NBA TV. What should LeBron do? What will LeBron do?
So here's where it gets difficult for Cavs fans, okay? Because here's what I find it very hard to believe that LeBron James is going to leave California. He's got his base of operations business-wise. LeBron has not been able to make it any clearer of the fact that he loves his life with his family. And he's talked about spending time with his wife, and he had spent enough time over the years. And leaving California for a year or two to continue to play is not going to help that. And I don't think I don't even think really coming back to Cleveland's going to be on his radar. I think it makes for an awesome media story. I just don't think it's on his radar. I think he lands with one of three teams. I think he very well could be back with the Lakers, but I think so much of that is going to depend upon money and the thought that LeBron's going to take a whole lot less to make life easier for the Lakers with Austin Reeves? I'm not so sure. I don't know that that's going to be the case. I think the Warriors could certainly be a team that he could end up with, and teaming with Steph Curry and seeing if they could do something together, kind of an Expendables type of thing at the end of their career. And LeBron is a very short private flight back to L.A. from there. The other team I would not rule out are the L.A. Clippers, because there's been a lot of bad blood between LeBron and the Lakers. And yes, it's a brand new ownership group, but nonetheless, if LeBron wants to stay in L.A., doesn't necessarily love what the Lakers are offering him, I think the Clippers stand there with open arms, bring Kawhi back for his last year, have Darius Garland, find the right kind of contract for LeBron. They got the number 5 overall pick, put a young player there. And you know what? Let's go and see what we can do with LeBron James. So to me, I think it's going to be one of those 3 teams. I just don't think it's going to be the Cavs. And listen, here's the other thing. I'm not positive that would be great for the Cavs. This is Donovan Mitchell's show. And anybody that's been around the team and spent time, I have, you see that Donovan Mitchell is the core of all this. He's the hub. You bring LeBron in and you risk altering that. And I think you're moving in the right direction if you're the Cavs. And I know, listen, Donovan Mitchell is eligible for a contract extension in the offseason. Not signing it equates to essentially a passive trade demand. You have all those things in play. I don't know that bringing LeBron in makes that any easier. I think for Donovan Mitchell, he has to feel like he has ownership in where this organization is going. And I don't know that he continues to feel that way if the Cavs kind of make, googly eyes at LeBron James looking to bring him in to kind of, I think Mitchell would feel a little usurped in that situation. And I don't think that's something the Cavs want right now, considering that he's eligible for a contract extension.
At B Geltz NBA on Twitter, SiriusXM NBA, NBA TV, Brian Geltzeiler on the Wise Heart Right, We Make It Right, Call Kyle Right hotline. Brian, thank you so much for the time. We'll hopefully run you down again very soon.
I hope so, guys. It's always my pleasure. Take care.
Thank you. You as well. Brian Geltzeiler on the show. Very interesting stuff about the toughness, because you asked that question before the show. Is it just a catch-all for a lot of fans out there? And, guys, during our interview with Brian Geltzeiler, the Browns definitely got an off-season win. I think they might have added a win to their win total for 2026. I'm not getting the reaction I thought I would get out of Lima there when I just said that. That's how big a news this is about to be in 5 minutes on The Fan.
better. Let's get it.
Talk sports deep into the Cleveland night. Overtime with Jake Volnick. Weeknights at 7. Sports Radio 92.3 The Fan.
Minutes away, we'll say goodbye to a Cleveland legend. And you may not have known his name right off the top of your head, but you absolutely knew his voice. And that's coming up at around 9:45. 216-474-0092. Folks, we might have a Browns. I think we definitely have a Browns offseason win. And how many wins do you think the Browns are going to have this year? Real quick, go around the room. John, turn your mic on, but Lima, you go first.
I think I've been saying 5 or 6. I might be willing to say 7. It's going up. I'm like doing a Ken Carman here.
Ooh. John.
Yeah, six wins for the Browns here.
Okay. Owen.
5.
I'm saying 6. I'm at 6. Can I talk you into 7 when I tell you that Adam Schefter has released the international schedule? Okay? Ladies and gentlemen, teams that are playing in division, that are playing in Europe or across the world, the Ravens, the Steelers, the Bengals, not the Browns. The Browns are playing stateside all year long. It only helps the Browns. All right, I'm not feeling it. Okay, fine.
Well,
I guess I'll just stay with 6.
How many?
The schedule's an important thing, is it not? Okay, fine. Don't fire up the Michael Stanley. We'll just sit here and.
Well, the schedule.
Fine.
The way we talk about the schedule is wrong.
I thought for sure you would get excited. Nothing.
Most years, the way we talk about the schedule is wrong, and it kind of belies what we know about the NFL, which is what. How many teams?
There's always
are
teams
bad
that are surprised.
So if you have the easiest schedule on paper before a year, what is the likelihood that it ends up actually being realized that it's the easiest schedule?
Very rarely.
Because of what?
Yes, very rarely. Parity in the league.
The parity, yes.
Yeah, and like the year that the Browns went, was it 0-16 or I think it was the 0-16 season. Aaron Rodgers, that's a loss. Then you end up playing against Brett Hundley, and you're up by 2 touchdowns going into the fourth quarter. So, yeah, these things happen. I'm sorry to be so angry. Brett Hundley's a fine kid.
So the advantage of not having, like every coach, if they were being honest, would tell you they'd rather not go international, right? They'd always, and in fact, they don't even want to go to the opposite coast. Like they would play as many games in their backyard or within a 3-hour radius as humanly possible. So to that, yes, Ken Carman, I would agree. That sounds like an offseason win. I'll give you that.
So, man, if you're at 7, it's hard because 8 and 9 is like Steeler territory, even though they're always like game over 500 or 500 at least. Going from 7 to 8 is kind of, that's asking a lot.
Now it feels like you've had a real resurgence.
Yeah, going to 5 to 6 or 6 to 7, it's like, well, depending on how the schedule plays out, like are all these teams going to be going? Like, what does San Francisco do for a bye other than you're playing on a Thursday in Australia, and then, okay, you're just going to take the next 8 days before you get ready for your next game? You're still going to have to be dealing with all that movement, all that travel. You go ahead, Owen. I'm sorry.
No, you're good.
Oh, that's bizarre. Didn't they used to go to Youngstown to practice?
Well, when they came here,
the Niners,
yeah,
because Eddie DeBartolo owned them, and now his nephew owns them. Which, whatever you want to say,
Eddie's out of it now. Yeah.
Oh, he is he?
Sure.
Oh, yeah, so they just kept the San Francisco logo up on the building for old time's sake. Yeah, that's right. They just kept that logo up there for no big deal. When they go up there, when they come to the East Coast, they would stay in Youngstown and practice for a week or 2 weeks in Youngstown and get everything there, which is smart, by the way. I think that depending on how the schedule plays out, which we should know the schedule with, is it Thursday? Thursday.
Which is tomorrow.
You play a vision of the schedule game coming up, or is that still leaving bad taste in our mouth? Well, there was a guy who used to make the biggest deal in the world about the schedule game, and then I knew what was going to happen, and he made too big a deal, and Lima didn't want to do it anymore.
Like this, Ravens play week 3 in Rio, which is not a time change, really. I think that might be Central Time.
Still like a 9-hour flight.
The flight's like crazy.
What a pain in the ass.
It's on a Sunday, too, which is what's crazy about it.
That's a bastard.
It's on a Sunday, so if the Browns get the Ravens in week 4, maybe.
Ooh. Okay, Steelers in week 7 in France at Paris against the New Orleans Saints, and then Madrid, Spain, week 9. The Bengals are playing the Falcons. So depending on when you play these teams, I'm just pointing it out.
The
I
NFL.
Can't go from 6 wins to 7 wins yet. I got to see how the schedule goes, but I might be going one more win.
They will do whatever it takes. It's just more days, more countries, more continents.
More Saturday football.
Oh, yeah.
Or Wednesday football.
Other dimensions. Can they play in the Tesseract like A Wrinkle in Time, like Interstellar?
Which does suck because, Lima, you've gone down the nostalgia path many times, and when we were kids, everybody, if you love football as a kid, you have a story about how you would sit there with your buddies, wherever it may be. Every guy in this region has a story about what they did every Sunday because the NFL owned Sunday. And you had all these games, and even though back in the day you could only watch 2 at a time, you were still
but you got the updates,
seeing the scores, you got the updates.
And in a way, the updates and then the lead up to NFL primetime, it made it more special. Like, Greg Gumbel's coming on, and he's going to tell us what's happening in another city. And obviously that's silly. Like, we could just have more TVs and more games, and they've made it like that. But it doesn't feel the same. It doesn't feel like these games are special.
I don't feel like I'm going to be able to see as many games this year as I usually do, even though I'm going to be able to see more games than I ever have.
Mm-hmm.
But how do I, as a family man, take another night out of the week and go, oh, I got to do this tonight? It was really nice when it was just Sunday. It was understood. We're not talking this on the weekend, right? I've got things to do. And now it feels like, what am I going to give up? This potential thing with my family, or a game against 2 NFC West teams on a Thursday.
Well, even in Axel's football league, they were like talking about, do they play on Sundays? Or like, we ain't playing on no Sundays. It's like, well, in the future, will Axel, if he's coaching youth football someday, will they even matter if they play on Sundays? Because the Browns can play any day of the week, it seems. It could be just a roulette of where you end up playing.
That is so true. I didn't even think about that.
We'll follow them wherever, but man, Sundays, that was the day, man. All right, I want to hear from Brian Geltzeiler here. He had talked about the toughness factor, and Lima thinks that that's a bit of an overrated statement.
I just think it's one of those big ifs, and I think that's, the Cavs 0-5 on the road here in these playoffs, and they have been a very different team on the road than at home. And I think where it really gets highlighted in a series like this is the physical toughness aspect. The Cavs, that was a weakness last year. It's emerging as a weakness again this year.
All right, you brought up the toughness aspect, and you think it's maybe a catch-all for everybody. Literally, you said that. Is toughness a catch-all? And then he brings up toughness.
And I've been guilty of it. Like, we come on after they lose a game to Toronto, or they lose a game in this series, and what do we say? We didn't match their toughness. Okay, well, the last 2 games, I think not only, I know Nick and Jonathan were debating whether it was just game 4. I'm like, no, game 3, we were plenty tough. Just because you gave up a lead, it's the NBA in 2026. You give up leads. Like, everybody's giving up leads. I thought there was no shortage of matching their toughness, and I would even say we went above and beyond. Ask Detroit fans, what have they all said about the officiating, and how they said, yeah, it's not that there were a bunch of bad calls, it's just that Cleveland was way more physical and allowed to get away with it. Their own fans are saying we were tougher in this game.
I thought they absolutely were.
Why is it that people in Cleveland are like, we're not tough enough? Like, can we come up with other nuanced things to say other than toughness?
Well, because one is we've done this a million times. The ones that I do trust to watch the games because they're on live while they're on air are the ones like inside the NBA. I do trust Termini to watch the games, okay? I do trust Brian Geltzeiler to watch the games. That's why I was a little bit surprised about the toughness coming from him, because I do think it's been a catch-all. I think you're right. Like, I think when people talk about the Cavs not being tough and they reference the Indiana series, I go, you didn't watch that series, or you don't remember that series.
I'm sure it would have been easier to be tough had we have been healthy and had our best wing defender.
Yes,
and you know
they
what I mean?
were beat by a better team that came a half away from winning the NBA Finals. They didn't just go out there and punch you in the mouth and you lost to a tougher team.
And Darius tried to play through the injury and obviously was like 2 steps slower than he normally was with no burst. But is that a lack of toughness?
When Geltz is talking about this, like he is talking about the inside-out game that we've been discussing. And I think that he mentions it with James Harden is where, and we might have to come to Jesus on this at some point, where you made the move you had to make. I promise, no matter what happens tonight and what happens for the rest of the series or for the rest of the season, I see where Kobe Altman was thinking on this. I would have made the move, so how can I rip the guy for making the move that I would have absolutely made? But did we make a trade for a better version of the same problem? Is that James is a point guard. Okay, he's not a wing. He's a guard. He's not a wing. We're always talking about wing. We needed a wing. And now you need a guy because a wing can play inside. James is not really an inside guy. He can drive the bucket, obviously. Everybody can. But we've discussed Evan so many times. I think Evan is better than anything they're going to throw at him. Detroit is. When we get to the Knicks, we'll talk about the Knicks. It would be a monumental disappointment if they lost this series, because a lot of people are going to be saying that, and I don't think it's necessarily true. I don't think it's true. The one game I got to see without the help of YouTube going back on it, because I couldn't watch it live, obviously, was this game in Game 4. And I came away impressed with how tough they were inside. I came away impressed with how everything that they did to stave off everything defensively. I was impressed by that. And if they do that again tonight, they'll win tonight. And I'm telling you, the series is over. And I know you'll agree with me.
Good. Who's been tougher in this series? Jalen Duren or Evan Mobley?
Sorry, I was taking a sip of coffee. I think it's been Evan.
Duren, who's averaging
easily Evan.
9.7 rebounds and less blocks than Evan.
Only one of them's disappeared in the series.
But
and that's Duren.
Right.
Duren completely disappeared.
Exactly. So that's what's at stake here, because you're not just fighting this series. You are fighting a commonly held belief that may be wrong. I mean, these are labels for a reason. And labels
it'll be the
most
label.
of the time.
If they lose, that's what they're going to say.
And exactly. And labels most of the time aren't fair. And it's one of the worst things that you can say. Because if you can tell me a team's not confident or not capable enough, not talented enough, hey, we need to make changes. We need to make changes right now. Let's get more talented players. If you try to say that a team isn't tough enough, that is a disturbance of the soul of any sports fan out there. And that means that there's something rotten from within, and you don't even care about trades. These guys must go. But I'm telling you, watching them, they have not been soft in this series, at least in Games 3 and Game 4. And I think if they carry that same momentum tonight, they'll win tonight, and then that's the end of this series. 216-474-0092. I want to hear whether or not you agree with me. And you may or may not know his name at first reference, but you definitely know this man's voice. We say goodbye to a legend coming up in 5 minutes on The Fan.
It's Anthony Lima for Fanatics Sports.
best lineup is here at Lowe's. Valid 5/7 through 5/13. Selection varies by location. Excludes Alaska and Hawaii.
The next milepost for the Browns offseason is the NFL schedule release and our world-famous schedule game. The radio home of the Cleveland Browns has you covered. We are 92.3 The Fan.
Well, sad news to pass on from the corner of Carnegie in Ontario. You probably saw it on the news last night, heard it during broadcast last night. Bob Teck passed away, the voice of Progressive, formerly Jacobs Field, for the last 27 years. He was 75 years old. I knew I'd never met him. I know members of his family. I know one of his family members very well, and they did want me to pass along a message, which I thought was just one of the best, where he had said that they went and visited him, which would have been Monday. They went and visited him at the hospital Monday, and Bob had the Guardians game going on his phone, and he had the Cavs game on the TV. And this is right before, this is hours before the man passes away. I'm like, this is a man who loved Cleveland, loved the fans in Cleveland. I know he did a lot of work with the diocese. I know that he was, I did not know this until recently. He was actually in morning radio in the early parts of his career. Voice is legendary person, wonderful man, and is definitely going to be missed by the fan base, obviously in the city of Cleveland and with Guardians fans everywhere.
And immediately when I heard the audio of his voice reverberating on some of these very, very beautifully done obits that I've seen on the local affiliates, the minute, or I went on YouTube and started, I'm like, now I got to hear, which is a shame that it takes a passing for you to actually seek that out, but becomes something that you just take for granted. But immediately I heard his voice and I got the chills right on the side of your arms. Like, it came back immediately, and it's like you don't process it when it's happening. It's like, that's the sound of baseball. That's the sound of summer. Walking into that building, that's the sound of the playoffs. And immediately I just heard that, and I'm like, I'm going to miss that voice.
And that job, strangely, Bob Teck had a strangely more involved job than anybody would think. Because I just assumed when I was a kid, you just pick up the mic and you say the names and off you go. Like, you had to keep official time. I did not realize until minor league baseball, the player was not official until they were announced. So if you bring in Sean Armstrong, he is not an official part of the game until he is announced over the loudspeaker at a Major League Baseball game or a minor league baseball game for that matter. Like, I did not know any of that. So, Owen, I know you worked over there.
I got to work with him for a couple of years over there. It was a great experience, just being able to talk. Like, well, first off, I got to sit right behind him during games, so that was pretty awesome.
That's cool,
right? And but being able to talk when the game was not going on, especially we get there 3-4 hours early sometimes, right? And be able to talk shop and talk about his involvement with the radio broadcast and his involvement with the diocese downtown. That was his day job. Pretty awesome guy to kind of get to be a little bit of a mentor from. I noticed the other day we went to the game on Sunday, and there was always a recorded message from him for the people at the gates, kind of telling you, like, hey, welcome to the ballpark, basically. And it wasn't playing, and I was like, I'm gonna miss that stuff. Like, it just, I don't know who's doing PA, and I think they've been kind of revolving over there right now. I don't know who was doing it Sunday, and it was a good job. It wasn't Bob.
It's just not him.
Yeah. And that's going to take some time. It's the same as, like John Adams hasn't been there for a few years, and they have his recorded drumming that they play, and it's nice, and it does in moments of you lose sight of, it's not John when it's a close spot, you need a big hit and those type of things, that rally type of thing, but it's just not the same, and it probably won't ever be the same.
No, yeah, you're right.
It was the first thing my son noticed on Sunday, like him not being there. And he was like, where's the guy, And I'm like, trying to tell him, like, hey, he's going through some stuff, and, this is what they said. And it it was awesome to be able to get the small moments that I got with him in my life. So,
yeah. It was from everything I know, obviously a great accomplished broadcaster and obviously a wonderful man, and our condolences from our show to his family. Again, know several of the family members, wonderful people, wonderful family, and Bob Teck is going to be really missed by the fan base here in Cleveland. We get ready for this game coming up on tonight, coming up at 8 o'clock, which are all 8 o'clock starts now, so put on the pot of coffee if you're an early riser like us. That's the way it's going to be. So they might as well, if in the words of Michael Strahan, if they're going to play in it, they might as well win it. If we're going to play at 8 o'clock at night, we might as well win these things. So what's it going to take to beat the Detroit Pistons tonight? Is it more of the same thing from Donovan Mitchell? Because you can't expect 39 and a half again.
No, I saw a lot of people saying, Donovan, do it on the road. Well, look, a big part of this is you open things up, you soften a defense when you pose that kind of a threat. And this is the one advantage I think the Cavs do have as we get later in the series. We were worried, oh, man, is Harden and Mitchell, if they couldn't get it done early in the series, they're going to get worn out. I'm seeing it on the other side. I'm seeing Cade Cunningham potentially get worn out. And what are the odds Tobias Harris, who finally had a little bit, I can't say a bad game, but wasn't the Harris spectacular that we had seen throughout the first 2 rounds of the playoffs in the first 11 games for them? What if they're wearing down? And what if they start looking around going, we don't have that, looking at Donovan Mitchell? Like, Cade Cunningham has been the better player this season and in the playoffs, but Cade can't score 39 points in a half.
No.
And does that open things up for the Cavs role players who all, I thought, and they took James Harden's lead in that game 4. They all moved better without the ball. Clearly something that was a coaching point after those first 2 games.
Say they just win the game tonight. Say they win by 6. Say it's a tight game. They just win by 6. You know, it balloons because of fouls and things like that, and they just win it, and they go up 3-2 in the series. Do we start to get pom-poms on the phones yet? Because they've won on the road.
I bet you yes.
They've won 3 in a row in the series.
A lot of people are side-eyeing going, wake me up
when they went on the road.
Yes, which they haven't done yet.
And they haven't done that. And when you still have, like, I respect the hell out of Brian Geltzeiler, and I'm sorry, I respectfully disagree. But I think a lot of folks will go, Kenny, you're trying to make an excuse when there's no excuse, when you know what that label has been here over the last 4 years. And I go, well, it wasn't deserved against Indiana. And I think a lot of people are going to say it just doesn't matter. You know, that T word or the S word about being soft is going to get thrown out there. And I think there's a way to beat Detroit. You're a better basketball team. And if you're tougher inside, you're going to win that game. You were tougher inside on Monday. You won that game. And if you do that again, you do it on the road. I hope I'm going to see a lot of that excitement that has been missing this year. That has just been missing. Like, we're waiting for them to prove something constantly this year. And I wonder if tonight's the night they do that. Because I think if they win tonight, I think the series is over. Big thanks to everybody who joined us today. Brian Geltzeiler was excellent. We're back tomorrow morning, 6 to 10. Mary Kay is going to join us tomorrow morning. You want to ask her about Taylor Green? You want to ask her about Brendan Sorsby?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Ask her about that. We'll also get, obviously, into the big Cavs hopefully win. Or hopefully we're not licking our wounds, but we'll discuss it. It's all coming up tomorrow, 6 to 10. For Big Country, for Jeff, for John, I almost said somebody else. For the Slippery Wizard, Anthony Lima, I'm Ken Carman. Go Cavs, go Guardians this afternoon.
Sounds good.
Where's your entourage now?
Cool, I got on the last show.